All right, so listen up. I'm going to be talking to Destiny and Zee about Ken Martin. She disagrees with me that Ken Martin should not resign. I have a lot of respect for Zee. This is Zee from the Unfuck America tour and National Ground Game. So I'm all ears. I'm curious to hear what she has to say, and maybe she'll change my mind. I'm actually excited. I feel like I'm going to learn some stuff because I love hearing about how this stuff works. So should be
Listen, my goal is that we're going to walk away from this and you guys are going to be 100% on my side.
Good.
This is my goal.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
I think I can achieve it too.
I hope.
All right.
I have multiple tactics. How are we going to do this though? What's
Well,
the
you're the
structure
one
here?
You started this fight, so what's your beef? Let's hear it.
No, actually, you started this fight, Guy,
Why?
because I watched your video this morning and you sent me into an early morning rage on your Ken Martin
Okay.
video.
So here's my argument. First of all, Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen were on the Sunday shows this weekend, and when asked if Ken Martin should step down, they said no. So I'm on the side of Ro Khanna and Van Hollen. Why are all three
What
of
was
us
the
wrong?
reason?
Why are all three of us
What was
wrong?
the reason? Well, I want to know, what was the reason for him to not step down?
Well, Van Hollen said that we're 6 months from the midterms. Now is not the time. And Ro Khanna said that his heart's in it. And I don't remember his exact words, but it was like he's a true Democrat and the report isn't enough reason to step down. But they both acknowledged mistakes were made.
I mean, but we all know why Ro Khanna said that, right?
No. Why?
Because he's going to run for president. So he needs
Okay.
him on his side. But also, let's just start with this. Forget the midterms. The midterms, first of all, we're going to win the midterms. So there's nothing to even talk about the mid. I'm concerned about 2028. And even when Ken steps down, because it's going to happen, we're past, trust me, I've talked to he is going to either step down or they're going to get him out. That is going to happen. That once we're past that point, then it's a whole different conversation, right? But right now, we've got to be focused on getting our together for 2028. Forget the midterms.
Well, Destiny, what's your position on this? Are you with me that Ken should stay, or do you have some strong feelings here? Why did she pick on you too?
I don't know if Ken should leave or not, but I know that I've never seen a compelling argument for him to leave, and that Pod Save definitely didn't put forth a compelling argument for me. So that was my feeling on it.
Well, the biggest problem with the Pod Save guys is that they're focusing too much on the debt, which, by the way, is a problem, but that's not the main problem. The main problem here is that the job of the DNC chair, besides to raise money, is to build out an infrastructure for our elections. Are we all in agreement with that? That's the job of the DNC chair.
Yes, I would say that is the main job, to be the head of the pyramid with all the state parties and all that. I mean, that's my understanding.
Yeah, right. So if that's their job, the infrastructure right now is not sufficiently being built for us to be able to win in 2028. And for Ken to just say, well, we're winning special elections is not enough, because that infrastructure is not going to carry through because there is no infrastructure there.
But what do you base that on? Because if we're winning, and I haven't heard any complaints from state chairs, and we're winning in places we haven't won in the past, what do you point to, Zee, as a failure?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of complaints from state chairs, and this is a big part of the problem right now, right? So Ken Martin's strategy, well, at least what he told us, right? The strategy was that he wanted to do a 50-state strategy, which, one, we don't even have money to do, right? So he's now investing this in ridiculous small amounts of money in places like Guam, right? $15,000, which is nothing. I mean, Destiny spends more than that on a day in court, right? Like we spend more than that on a tour stop. What is that going to do for anything? And sending money like $10,000 to the state of Wisconsin. What is that going to do for our infrastructure long term to get us to a place where we're not going to be beat by a MAGA candidate in 2028?
Well, I think that Guam is a little nitpicking, if you don't mind me saying. I don't know what's the story behind. Well,
Wisconsin's a good example.
Okay, Wisconsin. I don't know what the story is there, but we've been kicking ass in Wisconsin. We just won by 20 points in that Supreme Court justice race, didn't we?
Well, yeah, $100 million race, right?
Okay, so that
Yeah.
you actually.
But the DNC But that wasn't because that was from outside of spending anyway.
Okay,
but
but
ultimately, the question is with the $10,000, what did the $10,000 do for us to win in the state of Wisconsin?
I have no idea, but I know that we won. So it wasn't like Ken dragged down anything. And the DNC, look, here's how I see it. And you heard my argument is the money's going somewhere because we're breaking records for individual candidates and PAC spending, right, in these elections. So money is being sent to somebody and being spent at record levels, and we're winning.
But they're not sending it to the DNC. They're sending it to individual candidates. Why do you think that is? Why is it that James Tellerico just raised $27 million in the last quarter, but Ken Martin raised, what, $30 million? Why is one single candidate raising more than the DNC? That's a big problem, I would think, right?
But I don't think it's a problem if we're winning.
Well, but that's again with the do you think that that's all that it takes? Like, we just have to like win the midterms in a time that Trump is completely fucking this country from every angle, and that's enough?
So I think we have to focus on the election in front of us, and then we get to the next election. And right now, the midterms are the next election. And I think if Democrats win, you're going to see a lot of support pouring in. I mean, and also, I think it's unfair to compare the Democrats' fundraising to the Republican fundraising because Trump is using that like a piggy bank, and he's extorting people, and they're greasing the wheels of the Trump administration machine by bribing him, by pledging money.
Through the RNC you're talking about? Or through
the RNC, through his MAGA PAC, whatever, all the money that's going into his side. Because people keep claiming that the Republicans are outraising us 7-1. But Trump has made a business of it. We're not competing like that. We're not bribing Ken Martin. Like, he's not running that kind of operation.
We should. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Is that I wish that we had the luxury to be able to just focus on the midterm elections. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury because our infrastructure is so poor that if we don't do something about it now, as we head towards 2028, we're not going to have a good time. I can guarantee you that. The state parties are completely failing. Most of the state parties, okay, in places taking away the major states, right? Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, places like this, right, that do have a decent amount of funding. Most of the state parties do not have any funding at all. Okay. Places like Nebraska are entirely volunteer run. So what is it going to help them to just send them a $10,000 check? It's not. So instead, what we have to do is we got to start thinking about ways that we can get, because I agree too with Ken on the 50 state strategy, but he's not employing the 50 state strategy correctly because you don't have money for a 50 state strategy. So instead, what we got to do is we got to look at getting those organizations involved that are already active in those states to be supporting those state parties, right? I mean, that would be the natural thing to do.
Yes, but my question to you then is two-part question here is who could do it better than Ken right now? Because I don't think this is a Ken Martin problem. I think this is just people souring on the Democratic Party due to us having a big loss and a bad year in 2024. And, there's nothing to be too excited about because I look back at 2017 and it seemed like we were suffering from the same problems after a big defeat to Trump in 2016. So who could do it better than Ken? And is there enough time? It seems ridiculous to fire Ken Martin less than 6 months before the midterms. I wouldn't even fire a manager of McDonald's 6 months before a big event.
Well, the thing is, it should have been done sooner, in my opinion. But here's the thing: is that the first part of your question was that. Remind me the first part of your question.
Who can do it better? Who could do it better than Ben right now?
Okay, that's a great question. So who can do it better? First of all, we have to stop putting activists in these positions and start putting operatives in these positions. One of the biggest reasons why I was a huge supporter of Ken Martin, by the way, huge supporter. You can go back on my social media, back to the election. I sent my own team on my own dime to the DNC when he was running because I supported him that much, was because Ken was an operative. That's the way he portrayed himself to be, which is something very different than what we've had, because we've had people like Jamie Harrison, for example, who was the last GNC chair, who was an activist, who was fucking terrible and put us in this situation. Even before that, we had Tom Perez, right? Again, not somebody that I would have considered an operative. So what we need now is somebody that is a better operative than Ken Martin, and understanding that we need to have an actual strategy that's going to get us to the next level. Right now, we don't have that strategy. And that is clear, not just from people outside, but from people inside the DNC who are saying the same thing. People like Anderson Clayton, who has said the same thing. Again, the autopsy report was just Who cares about the autopsy report? First of all, the autopsy report was a massive fumble on Ken's part. And I think that there was a way that he could have gotten around that much better if he was a better operative.
Okay, so then to the timing question, do you agree with me that there's not enough time between now and the midterms to pick a new head of the DNC, implement policy, and have any impact on the midterms? And in fact, it would have a detrimental. Well, but it would have a detrimental impact on the midterms. It would show chaos, and it could take away some much needed leadership.
Yeah, but the chaos is already happening. Look at the New York Times just released an article 3 days ago that said that, what is Ken Martin going to do? He's in hot water. So it's not like the chaos isn't already happening. Now we got to show what happens after that chaos. Now we got to show the real leadership. Because if we just keep doing this, what are we going to do? We're going to end up at the midterms. He's going to say, oh, well, we won the midterm, so everything is fine and dandy, and it's not fine and dandy.
Well, how do you come to the conclusion that it's not going to go well in 2028 based on what you're seeing right now? Even if it's true that the money's not there from the DNC to the state parties, but the individuals are raising money as people are going around the DNC, and maybe Ken is just not helping in any way at all, and the DNC is just, useless. But still, the money's going to the candidates. So why change?
So what we need to do first and foremost, if we're going to get ready for 2028, is that we have to start sectioning things off and what we got to do. The first thing that we got to do is we have to build a media infrastructure. Destiny says this all the time on his stream. You say it. I've heard you say it, right? Do you think the DNC has built a sufficient media infrastructure?
Well, no, but I'm not on the inside to see what they're trying to do. They could be working hand in hand with David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen on some big thing for all I know. No.
They're not.
Okay. Well, then
they're not.
I don't know who would, right? Like, I don't think they get it, and I don't think they are going to get it anytime soon as far as investing in these spaces.
But don't you think that we need somebody that gets it? Like, why are we so happy with just being like, oh, well, they just don't get it? Like, to me, it's like, that's not a sufficient excuse.
Well,
it's like,
because I figure their attention is in other places, and they see the limitations of this online space. I don't know. Maybe they're investing in ways I'm not aware of also. Just because they're not investing in my corner of the internet doesn't mean they aren't investing anywhere in the internet. Maybe you know more than I do. Who are they
investing in?
I have no idea. But
no one.
Well, how do you know that, though?
Well, I know that because I'm on the inside. There is no media infrastructure in the DNC. In fact, I've tried to reach out to Ken Martin repeatedly about this, and he doesn't respond to anybody's text or email, not just mine. I talk with major donors that can't get a call back from Ken Martin. That's a problem.
Right. Well, again, I don't know the whole story, and I hear you on the negative stuff, but I always feel like the negative stuff makes its way to the top, and we don't hear about the good stuff. And what he must be working on something. I mean, do you think he's just sitting there just completely shitting the bed?
No, I think that he's traveling around the country, taking photo ops on different races. And again, that's okay. That is part of the job of the DNC chair, right? Like, you got to be out in the public, you got to be doing those things, but that is not the main job of the DNC chair. The biggest problem here is that why is it that somebody like Charlie Kirk, who was fucking 18 in 2013, okay, was on Twitter starting the culture wars for the RNC, and yet now in 2026, we're still too scared to say fuck, right? Like, on the internet. Like, that's where the DNC is at. To me, I don't understand how we can justify that.
Well, I agree with you that our space should get a lot more attention, but I'm invested in it, and maybe I think more of it than they do. I don't know. I mean, look at what they're seeing. Probably Hassan Piker is like the biggest representative of this new media online space. So they're probably like, that's fucking garbage, man. Why would we want to go anywhere near that?
Well, and that because they don't understand the internet.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes total sense. To me, it makes total sense that they're hanging out with people like Hassan, right? Because they don't understand the internet. They don't understand internet culture. They don't understand the media space. And instead of learning, because listen, I'm in my mid-30s, right? I don't understand a lot of things about the internet. I've only been on the internet for like 2 years in terms of like social media, but I understood from a very early time, way back in like 2015, that if we didn't compete online, then we weren't going to win elections. So why is it that somebody like me is understanding that, but not the head of the DNC, the person that's literally running the entire party?
Well, again, I want to go back for a moment to the special elections. Why do you discount those so much when we're seeing stellar performances here?
Well, because I like you were saying, candidates are raising more money than they've ever raised. And they're not sending it to the DNC, they're sending it to individual candidates. As I said, Tellerico just raised like 27 million in the last quarter. That's unprecedented, especially in a state like Texas. Same thing with the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, right? $100 million, massive. So I think that that's one reason, right, is that individual candidates are getting a lot of money. We're not also even talking about the IE programs that are raising a shit ton of money, or the PACs or any of those other things. And then, let's just take, for example, Mikey Sherrill's race, right? Okay, New Jersey. Ken Martin has said on multiple occasions that I've seen that they had a massive impact in that race. Do you know how much they spent on that race?
On Mikey Sherrill's race, the DNC in particular? Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah. $3 million. Do you know how much she raised just as an individual candidate?
No clue.
Almost $30 million. So it's not, and then that's not even including like the PACs and everything. $3 million could have built out a whole media infrastructure arm of the DNC. So that's what I mean by like the spending really matters and the leadership really matters, because the media infrastructure is going to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that's going to help us win in not just the midterms, but in 2028. And if we don't start taking that seriously now, then we're not going to have that infrastructure built out in time. And that's why I'm sounding the alarm to everybody, because I'm like, listen, this is very, 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 very important that this happens now.
Okay, so I think you're in a camp of your own, sounding the alarm. Maybe not alone, but I would argue you're in the minority. Maybe you disagree with me on this too. I think the people that are latching on to Ken Must Go are people that just want to start problems and are agitators. Do you disagree? I mean, I'm not trying to label the Pod Save America guys as like Democratic Party haters, but they really, they really seem hyper focused on just, causing division, and they're not offering solutions. Just like Ken must go, and nobody ever talks about who will replace him or what will replace him or what's going wrong.
Well, the Pod Save America guys, I feel like, are not somebody that should be the spokesperson necessarily, because they were Obama guys that didn't really do very much after the Obama election, which again was 15 years ago at this point, right? So like they're very out of touch themselves with what's going on in the inside. But I don't think I'm the only one sounding the alarm. I mean, there's a lot of people on the inside sounding the alarm right now. Anderson Clayton's a great example, like the state chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. She's been sounding the alarm. She was the one who pressured Ken, ran a whole pressure campaign. Malcolm Kenyatta has been sounding the alarm for a long time. I mean, he's been sounding it since the beginning. David Hogg has been sounding the alarm, although I have disagreements with David Hogg on his primary strategy. I don't think it is the best primary strategy, but he's been sounding. There's a lot of people on the inside that have. It's just that a lot of these people don't have platforms, so they don't, I don't think like it gets out there like it should.
Well, again, it's hard for me to argue this because you're basically, tell me if I'm wrong, but you're basically making the argument that the state Democratic parties are suffering because donations are going to individual candidates, and that's not going to help build the infrastructure that the party needs in the states. But my question is, is this a Democratic Party problem or is this a Ken Martin problem? Because I feel like this is more of a just people souring on the Democratic Party, and they'd rather invest in these individual candidates. And I don't know if Ken Martin's responsible for that. He's just kind of riding the wave.
What do you think is his responsibility as the person leading the Democratic Party?
I honestly don't really know what the chairman of the DNC does. I didn't really care much about Jamie Harrison or Tom Perez, what they did. And my understanding is they're just there to kind of help set the direction and facilitate the state parties, but if these parties are struggling, then maybe there's something to be said there that the people want to invest more in individuals and not the state party. Maybe that formula is bunk.
But why? Why don't they want to? Why don't they want to?
Well, I think that our problem with the Democratic Party is that we're a big tent and we have a lot of different ideas and personalities under our umbrella, and some people may not want to be associated with all of those voices and all those opinions, and so they'd rather invest in one individual than the state party. Because imagine you're a Jared Golden fan in Maine, and when you give money to the Democratic Party, it's like you're supporting Ilhan Omar or something like that. I feel like there might be some of that going on.
It's probably not a lot. I mean, the reason why I think people don't want to invest in the DNC is because we haven't had strong leadership for a long time. Okay, I've been working in Democratic politics since 2010. Okay, and not one time do I remember a DNC chair that has been sufficient at their job. That is way too long. When Republicans have issues, they fix those issues, right? Like that's usually what they do. And I'm not pro Republican. I'm just saying that like, the Ken Martin situation would not be happening in the Republican Party because they wouldn't allow it to happen.
I mean, have they forced out a chairman of the RNC? I don't recall them doing that.
They don't have to because they set up the infrastructure so that way they're putting the right person in the place, right? The biggest problem, I think, isn't even just Ken Martin, right? I agree with you there. I think the structure of even how Ken Martin got in is also a problem. Because again, you have people that are activists and these people that are very out of touch and usually, I'm going to be honest, very old, that are voting people like Ken Martin in, the delegates, right? And so this is a big problem as well. But I think ultimately, what we've got to do now is we have to say the situation is what it is. Okay. He wasn't the right choice. Now the question is, how do we make it the right choice? That's the real question. Like what can we do now to fix the problems that we have so that when we go into 2028, because listen, there are a lot of problems right now. The media infrastructure is just one problem. Getting young operatives into these positions is also a huge problem. Why is it that when I'm working for the DCCC, right, which I get contracts from almost every other year, and every single time I'm working in the DCCC, they have 10 fucking staffers turning over every few months? Why is that? These are good paid jobs. Why do they have staffers consistently turning over and over and over? Why? And it never gets fixed.
Well, then to my question, who would replace Ken? Because I think you got to have somebody in mind, and nobody ever proposes anybody. It's just some mythical generic Democrat who's going to come in and knock it out of the park. And I just feel like people expect something big to happen, and it's never going to happen, in my opinion.
I think we need a good operative. I think that's what we need. My biggest fear is that, because as I said, we already know Ken is going to be out one way or the other. Either he's going to leave himself or he's going to get ousted. It is right what it now? Is. I mean, no, not right now. Probably in the next month is my guess. Yeah.
But people aren't saying. But wait a second, but before the midterms, and you don't think that is problematic for the DNC chair to leave right before the midterms?
No, I don't think I think it's actually a good thing because I think that gives us more time to build towards 2028. Because either way, as I said, we're going to win the midterms. I know that we're going to win the midterms. Do you think we're going to win the midterms?
I do, but I think it's our race to lose if we start making big changes. It just seems odd to make such big changes.
Well, what are you more worried about, the midterms or 2028?
Right now, I'm more concerned about the midterms by a landslide.
What?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because it's not a guarantee. First of all, Biden had a good first midterms, and that should not have happened. So I don't know. Anything can happen. Now, obviously, history's on our side, and things are looking pretty good, and the Republicans are doing everything wrong. But I don't put anything past these guys. Who knows what could happen in these midterms?
No, listen. I think we're gonna be okay in the midterms. But either way, the midterms, there's nothing that's going to be able to be done with the infrastructure that we have now for the midterms. It's already too late. We're already about to be in June.
But what happens if we do very well in the midterms and money just starts flowing into the DNC? Everybody starts giving money to the DNC, and Ken is able to shift gears a bit, and he's like, okay, now I'm going to start doing my 2028 strategy. I mean, does the guy not deserve a chance to implement his strategy?
Well, I think that he's had a long chance. He's been in for 18 months.
Yeah, and he's done very well.
But he hasn't, because we don't have the infrastructure.
But the infrastructure be damned. We're winning.
Well, because the thing, we're winning, but not because of what is your evidence that we're winning because of Ken Martin?
I don't have any evidence, but I don't have any evidence but I don't have evidence to the contrary either. But what I have is that we can
look at the spending. That's evidence to the contrary when we're investing only 10% in those elections.
Okay, but
to me, that's evidence. Also, our voter registration is awful. Why is it that Republicans have fucking registered, 5 million voters since 2020? We've been raped in every single state,
Okay.
including blue states.
That's not fair to say.
We haven't caught up at
Since
all.
2020, things have changed course since the 2024 election, and Trump started.
No, we're still getting. Still today,
on
we're still
voter
getting
registration. I've seen.
Yes.
I don't know. I've seen things shifting in the other direction, but I don't know.
Show me the evidence. There's no evidence of that. And then Ken Martin wants to say, okay, well, we're going to invest in voter registration because Turning Point is actually fucking raping us on that. So then what does he do? He goes to fucking Nevada where we have automatic voter registration. Like, why?
Well,
this is stupid.
We don't have a Scott Pressler in tight jeans tucked into his boots out there registering people. Okay. So I don't know. They have. Are you going to tuck your jeans into your boots and go out there and register people?
But doesn't that tell you something that somebody like Scott fucking Pressler can get out there and register that many people?
Yeah,
what does that say?
And he's
what
losing.
Does that say
So
that somebody like Scott Pressler, who is this gay kid that has no power in the party, that has somehow been able to make his way through the RNC, has been able to make his way to raise all of this money to get this many people registered? Why is that not happening on the Democratic side? Is it because we're stupider? Why?
No, I don't. Again, I think people have soured on the Democratic Party in general, and so they're not excited about the party as a whole, but they love these candidates. They love the individuals. It's kind of like the...
So what does that say? The fact that they love these individuals, they love Tellerico, they love Mikey Sherrill, they love these people, but they don't love the DNC. Why?
Well, because they just went through a 4-year period of an octogenarian in charge, and they were not impressed, and they got their asses kicked by inflation, and the border was overwhelmed, and they have some sour feelings about the Democrats. Even though things were going well and they did well, they didn't see it like that. And so I don't know.
We have to change our messaging, right? Like the message, we've got a branding problem, we've got a messaging problem, we've got an operatives problem, we've got a media infrastructure problem. Those are massive things that the DNC chair can absolutely fix. I believe that the DNC chair can fix that.
Well, and look, I applaud you wanting to fix that, and I do too. I want the Democratic Party to be cool, and I want our registration to be way up. But again, I see us winning. And I'm impressed and I'm excited, and that we're breaking records and we're flipping districts and seats we haven't in 30 years. And
that's because Trump sucks.
No,
that's because this is the worst president. His approval ratings are the worst of any president since before 1960, right? Like that says something. People are sick of it. So obviously, even in that Mar-a-Lago district, they flipped the Mar-a-Lago district.
Yeah.
But that wasn't because of Ken Martin.
Well, but
that was because
they didn't do that. But they didn't do
candidate.
that to stick it to Trump. They did that because that person ran on affordability and was talking about the issues they care about. So the Democratic Party messaging is on point. People, it's resonating with people. I think it's dismissive to just say
the Democratic Party, that was her messaging.
Okay,
the Democratic Party hasn't changed their messaging at all, really, since Kamala Harris.
And
they're trying to get a little more edgy.
But I think
sure, but like it's not enough.
To me, this is a problem on both sides because people on the right aren't thrilled about the Republican Party either. So I think it's something that both sides
are winning.
Huh?
The Trump people are winning in their primaries.
Okay, their primaries, but you have like Ken Paxton winning last night with 8% of the electorate in Texas voting. So I'm not impressed by Republican victories within their primary. I'm saying that on both sides, you have the American people registering as independents and not as excited about the parties. That's what I'm saying. Like the energy is being put into the individuals now and not the parties. I feel like it's not a Democratic Party problem. It's just America right now.
Yeah, well, the RNC still outraised us 7-1, so it can't be that hard of a problem for them.
Well, but again, I point to Trump creating a business of corruption in that people are donating in order to keep their mergers moving forward and to stay in Trump's good graces. I mean, he's funneling them to his PACs and that's where the money's going. So he's made a business out of bribing him, and that's why they're outraising us 7-1.
I don't know. I don't know about that. And I mean, the reality is that if the RNC completely crumbled tomorrow, it wouldn't matter because they have all of these organizations that are doing the majority of the work anyway, right? Turning Point is raising $300 million a year. They're ballot chasing all of these races. They're investing in elections. They're doing most of the work that the RNC is supposed to be doing. That way the RNC can spend very little. I think like last year they had 177 million that they raised. They have like 95 million cash on hand. Why is that? That's because they don't need to spend all of it, because they've invested in these organizations that will do it for them. They're even investing in people like Scott Presler, right? Who is doing a lot of this work. We don't do that on the Democratic side. If I was the DNC chair, that would be my first move, is strengthen the organizations that are out there that are already doing the work. People like Democracy Defenders, people like the Texas Organizing Project. There's so many. I mean, in every state, there's probably at least 20 really strong organizations that all you need to do is start split sending and start getting people excited about them, and then use that money and that infrastructure to invest in the local state parties, right? Then you have already solved one of your problems, which is that you have weak state parties. Now you've got strong state parties. Done. We're done with that. Now what can we invest money in? Media infrastructure, operatives, and the other stuff that we need to do to get ready for 2028. Because I'll tell you one thing, you can't run a successful presidential election when you're fucking overturning your staff every 5 minutes on your congressional committees, right? It doesn't work like that. You can't run strong races, which is why Jen O'Malley, who was on fucking Pod Save America, who ran Kamala Harris's race, was like, oh yeah, well, we always knew that we were going to lose. And that's the person that you have running your presidential election? Like that's not good. That's a big fucking problem.
In Kamala's defense, she inherited Biden's team, and Jen was on his team, right? But
she could have said no. She could have said no. This is the thing with all of these people, is that they're always, oh, well, we're friends. Fuck your friends. Like, we're here to win elections. The fuck? Like, I never walk into a room and like, I tell them, we're here to win a fucking election, and these are the people that are going to be on my team. I don't give a fuck if you worked for this consultant or you did this. I don't care about any of that. I want to have the strongest team possible to take on Donald Trump. And spending $1.5 billion is not, and still losing the popular vote is bullshit. In my opinion, as an operative, that's a failure in any way that you look at it.
Well, I'm with you. I just don't think anyone could be doing it better. I'm kind of curious to hear what Destiny says if he's not shooting emails or whatever. But I don't think anybody's going to invest in this space. As of right now, I don't think anybody's going to do anything different than Ken Martin right now.
I would.
You would.
I would do something a lot different than Ken
but you're
Martin.
not DNC chair, and you're not in. They're not going to pick you.
Not yet.
They're not going to pick you now.
Yet.
I wish. I don't know. I applied for a job at the DNC. They had a position to be a contact between content creators and elected officials, and I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. I'd love to do that, but I didn't even get a interview or anything. But I'd love all these ideas to be implemented, Zee, but I just don't think there's anybody in line that will do them. So I'm like, we might as well stick with this guy and
I don't
see
think
where
that's
it goes.
good enough. We need to make sure that we have people that are ready to take on these positions. Like, this is what I don't understand is like, we're like, well, we don't have anybody. We're saying the same thing about the presidential candidates for 2028. It's our job to find these people. That's what we're supposed to do as operatives. Otherwise, what are we doing? What's our job? Just to show up every 4 years and like.
But elections, he was elected for a 4-year term to run the Democratic Party, and I think he deserves a chance to do it. I mean, did he? Why did he win?
Because he got the delegate votes. I supported Ken Martin. I liked what he ran on, but that has not been what the result has been.
Well,
he's not given us the results that he talked about.
And you feel
also,
that's his fault.
I also want to know why. Yeah, I also want to know, a big part of why I was very supportive of Ken was because of this consultant problem. Okay. And I'm a consultant myself. So I'm not like sitting here being like all fucking consultants are bad. But when you have two people that are basically taking all the money from the DNC at the very top in DC, right?
Yeah.
Then that's obviously a consultant problem. And Ken very much ran on, we need to get rid of the consultants, right? My question is then, why did we spend almost $30 million getting Kamala Harris out of debt when we didn't even need to spend that? Like, I'm confused as to why, like he was talking about like the list in, the Pod Save America thing, right? He was like, well, we only spent $6.5 million on the list and we raised 2 times the amount. So that's great. You spent almost $30 million outside of that list. If you didn't care about the consultants, why don't you tell them to go fuck themselves and wait for that debt? I'm curious as to why that is.
I don't know. This is inside baseball stuff. I don't know. I just
well,
find
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either because the thing is that if I know one mail firm, okay, that had $150 million in mail from Kamala Harris's campaign, okay, I think they made their profit. I think they're going to be okay. I don't think we need to be giving them more money to spend to pay off debt. I really don't. I think that could be easily negotiated out. And then I also just think it's dishonest on Ken's part to sit here to the public and say, "Oh, well, we only spent 6.5 million on the list, and this is normal. Everybody does this." Okay, first of all, I don't think we should be doing that anyway. But either fine, you want to spend the money on the list. I'm okay with it if you're making back the money, right? Which he claims to have done, but they're not making back what he spent on Kamala Harris's campaign. That is just incorrect information.
Okay, I have thoughts. Okay, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on this first part, I think I disagree with almost every single point you brought up related to money. So when you talk about the list, it sounds like it's pretty normal for a presidential campaign to be aggressive, especially in the last part of their presidential cycle spending, in their election cycle spending, where sometimes they might take on debt when they're trying to cross the home stretch. And I guess as a goodwill show, you generally have your DNC or your RNC buy out from them their voter list to make sure that the campaign doesn't end up in debt. I think that sounds like
that's fine. I have no problem with them spending 6.5 million on the list when they got the money back.
Well, no, wait. No, it has nothing to do with getting the money back. It has to do with ensuring that you don't have somebody running for president on your primary ticket for the presidency who is afraid to spend at the final moments because they think they're going to end the campaign in massive amounts of debt. It doesn't have anything to do with making the money back. It has to do with ensuring that candidates feel comfortable spending right up to the limit so that they can give their best shot to win an election, right?
Well, they didn't, but yeah, we could talk. That could be a whole.
Wait. They spent, right?
Yeah, they spent on bullshit, but so yes, they spent.
We spent on bullshit, but they spent the money. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is, my understanding is the DNC fundraising has hit historic levels. I don't know where the 7-to-1 number keeps coming from. It sounds like a talking point that was spun out of 1 month of fundraising.
No.
What fundraising are you talking about then? It's because it's not.
Well, Ken Martin, from what we've seen, Ken Martin just raised $40 million, which is approximately on track with what the other DNC chairs have done. But the RNC has raised; they have 150 something million cash on hand.
Cash on hand has nothing to do. That could be carryovers from prior years, whatever. Cash on hand literally means nothing.
I know, but they raised I think it's something we could look it up. It's about a 7-to-1 difference in what.
I haven't seen that borne out anywhere. My understanding is that 7-to-1 difference came from 2 weeks of fundraising of March this year or something. I don't know where this idea that the RNC has never outraised that much from the DNC. I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure we've hit historic numbers of fundraising for the DNC since Ken Martin has been in the chair. Now, is that because of Ken Martin? Is that because of the hatred
it's
for
not
Trump?
Historic, though. It's not historic. I don't know where you're getting that number from. He raised 40 million in the last quarter, and I think it was Jamie Harrison had raised 37 million.
Okay, well,
he's not raising
a high number. What you just said was a higher number than the last one, right?
Yeah, but also you're not even counting for inflation. But it's roughly you want to argue with $3 million.
Do you think inflation was 10% in 1 year? Was it 37 million to 40 million? I'm just saying it's not like the fundraising is going down.
40 million doesn't make any difference.
It's higher than it was before. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, but again, my problem isn't as much the money on hand. Although I don't think we should ever be in debt. I think that's stupid.
Why?
Why do we need
to be in debt? Everything.
Why do we need
spending? Because there is an NP positive investment that you can make with your money rather than having it sit in a bank account. Why not? What do you mean? We can pay off the debt. It's not whatever debt the DNC is holding right now is not relevant. Ken Martin himself said it. He can pay it off if he wants to right now. That's just not a relevant thing. If you want to go into debt to buy for something like winning elections, which we have been, I think fine. I think
again, winning elections. How do you think that Mikey Sherrill would have won the election without Ken Martin's help? Yes or no?
I don't know that person in particular, but just to clarify the money part. Just to clarify on this money part. Also, you keep bringing up the idea that all these people raise so much more than the DNC. That is always the case. The DNC was not out fundraising Barack Obama. Yes, it is always the case that the candidates on federal election levels are always. That's true on the Republican side. That's true on the Democrat side. It's been that way at least in my lifetime. You're never having a case where Barack Obama only raised $100 million, but the DNC raised $750 million. That's just always the case on broad elections because nobody even knows who the RNC or the DNC is. You just have to make calls to donors and everything else. Normal people are not excited to donate to the DNC. They're excited to donate to Obama or their particular federal level candidate.
Why shouldn't they be excited?
Can be. I'm just saying they could be. I'm just saying historically that's not the case. I'm just saying that's not an exceptionally horrible failing on Ken Martin's job, and that's what's happening on the Republican side either.
Listen,
Trump is outraising the RNC.
Are you comparing Ken Martin to Jamie Harrison or to which chair?
I'm just looking at
They've
the
all
historic.
sucked.
I'm just saying for the historic norms. It's the same on the Republican side, though. The RNC
Yeah, but
is not outraising.
why do we want historic norms? Jamie Harrison is literally the past
I'm
two
just
DNC
saying we have to understand what the historic norms are, because if he was grossly underperforming, then we would say, okay, well, Ken Martin's got to go. This is terrible, right? But if it's about on track,
comparing shit to shit. It's like you're comparing somebody like literally Tom Perez, who is a big part of the reason why we had Trump in office. Like we're gonna compare, like that's our fucking.
I'm just saying that you're looking for Ken Martin. You're looking for the receptionist in a hospital to be a neurosurgeon, when that's not what's happening on the Republican side. It's not the RNC is not winning elections for Trump. They certainly aren't winning elections in the season. Yeah, exactly. But
because they've invested in organizations that do it all for them.
Sure, that's fine. So just on the money side, there's that. But then switching over to the other side, so you're talking about this investment thing. So Ken Martin committed to doing a 57 areas, I think, that Democratic DNC, not chairs, but members of the DNC come from, includes like Virgin Islands, Guam, or whatever. You criticized him you're saying, oh, we shouldn't be sending $10,000 or $50,000 to Guam. Why not? I feel like the problem the Democratic Party has had is that, like,
what is $15,000 going to do for Guam? Tell me.
That same question is the same thing. Well, that same question you're asking is the same thing that Democrats have been asking about every single southern state, about every single lost state where, oh, that's a R+5 seat. Guess we stop investing and we leave. The whole point for Ken Martin's thing
that's not what we're saying.
That's fine that's not what you're saying, but historically that is what the Democratic Party has said. We give up on elections when it's past +5, it's unwinnable, and then we just leave completely, right?
Yeah, but that's not. But again, you putting $15,000 into a state chair is not even going to buy them fucking lunch.
That's fine. It'll get some lunches unless these are very big people. But the goal, when you talk about infrastructure is definitionally, this is long-term CapEx. This is not a 6 months we have massive infrastructure. This is like years and years and years of investment. You said earlier that $3 million. Always, yes. You said
no, not necessarily. There's a lot of these issues you could fix, but probably even like before the midterms.
That's fine, but you yourself brought up Charlie Kirk from fucking 2010 or whatever. That didn't spin up overnight, and he had massive support from people like the Koch brothers and more established Republicans. Even for these people that have massive support, it takes a long time to stand this stuff up. It can't be that Ken Martin is supposed to come in and in 12 months we have a fully fleshed out Democratic
the media
Party.
Infrastructure, though, arguably has been very strong on the Republican side since at least 2015.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the RNC.
What do you mean? The RNC was a big part of making sure that Charlie Kirk had that support that he needed.
I think,
and not just Charlie Kirk, by the way, but Ben Shapiro and all.
I think we're a much bigger part of that than the RNC. Who I don't think that the RNC is a major player in any of these things. I think the RNC is part of a larger.
They all work together to make this happen. That's how it works.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. But I'm just saying that Ken Martin is not going to create the left's version of Fox News while also solving our podcast problem, while also solving our Russian and Chinese misinformation, fighting against our party problem, while also fighting against the fact that the wealthiest man in the world is rigging the largest news social media platform in the world against this problem, and is not going to fix the structural problems of like the Senate or how the gerrymandering works. These are all like huge national
US
problems. He
doesn't have to do all that. That's not all of his job to do all that. There are plenty of democratic organizations that could help him do that.
Sure, I agree. But then, so when we look at like the end result of everything, so I think it's good that he's investing in every state. Even if you think it's not enough money, that's fine. You can have that opinion. It's more than what was being invested before in every single state, which I think is good.
What does that do? What are the results of that? Besides just saying,
you can't argue that, because the results are we have historically outperformed any prior special election run-up to an election in all of U.S. history. So the results are.
What is your evidence that Ken Martin is the reason for that?
I don't need the evidence that Ken Martin is the reason for
yes, you do. You need the evidence, because there's literally no. You're basically saying that Ken Martin is the reason why we've won these special elections, and there's no evidence to support that.
I mean, Ken Martin has invested money more than in the past in all of these special elections in all of these states, and the DNC has.
Not all of them, and only in the big ones. You only put in like $3 million, which is nothing.
I don't know how $3 billion is nothing. Okay, that sounds like
it's nothing when you're raising $30 million just from an individual candidate, and then you have outside groups that are also spending. It's not going to do anything. But you know what $3 million?
Wait, real quick. That's every single election. Always, you are never having your national committee, your national parties out raising these massively popular federal.
That's why you shouldn't be investing that kind of money in them, because there's no point. Well, you need your job isn't
spent too little, so we shouldn't have spent any money at all.
No, I think
those elections. I think was a huge victory. We had really good performances in all of our midterms.
Yeah, but what we have to do instead is we have to build out the long-term infrastructure that we need to
Which
be
he's doing with
successful.
starting with the small investments, but he's getting the money flowing, so the infrastructure will slowly be stood up. But it's not going to happen in a year. I think that
the $10,000 is not going to do anything. It's going to do literally nothing.
I don't know if it's $10,000. I feel like the number was higher because I think John complained that it was 50,000. But like, let's assume
even 50 is nothing for a state party.
Okay, well, we're not made of money over here. We don't have infinite amounts of money. But
yeah, but instead, I'm not arguing that he needs to be spending money on that. I'm arguing that his job is to make sure that they have the infrastructure that they need. So what you need to do is you need to get these groups together that are already doing the work and get them raising money through the DNC apparatus, through things like split sends on lists, through things like texting, and get them all together to work on the state parties.
Are there any organizations that would want to do that?
Yes, of course. There's so many organizations that would want to do that.
If you had a massive organization and you felt like you had an undue or a larger influence on some particular state, you would be happy if Ken Martin rolled up and he said, I want you to fold in your entire organization into the DNC?
No, you're not asking them to fold in. You're asking them that, first of all, it's an exchange of support, right? So I'm telling you, I'm going to help your organization raise money through my list. And what I'm asking you is to help your state party chair to grow out their infrastructure. So doing things like making sure that.
But why would the DNC help these organizations raise money on the list when PACs and super PACs historically have always massively out fundraised the DNC and the RNC?
Well, it doesn't matter because, again, you're just having an exchange, right? So you're making sure that they're getting something and that in return, they're helping their state parties.
By the way, the $20,000 is per month for Guam and every state.
Sure.
That's what.
I think that's the minimum. But so I guess my question is like, I don't understand. The big question is like the two that go hand in hand are like, what are the huge things that Ken Martin should be doing differently? And then who is a person who we feel like could be delivering better on these things that Ken Martin should be doing differently?
Well, and see, this is what we need to talk about is who's going to be next, right? Because as I said, I think Ken Martin is already going to be gone. The biggest problem that we have next is that what they're going to do is they're going to try to get a Hassan person in. They're going to try to get somebody like Foz in. Yes, they are. They've already talked about it.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Did you look at the Bulwark article?
What is the Bulwark speaking for? Like
they've got a couple names floating around, but Foz is probably one of the top names floating around right now.
What is how do you spell this last guy's name?
Let me see.
Oh, new drama.
He ran Bernie's 2020 campaign.
Also, the 40 million figure comes from the first 4 months after the election. There was a press release in June of last year that DNC raises more in the first 4 months under Ken Martin than any other chair in history. And it was like double what they raised in 2017 in the first 4 months.
Well, again, I don't really care. I don't care as much about the money as I do care about the infrastructure being built out.
I mean, like, just as a quick thing, I'm reading. First of all, I hate this. Like, some people say they're always anonymous in these for whatever reason. But then, like, the idea was put on hold after members failed to identify an alternative candidate willing to step into the role. This sounds like it's echoing what IRI said earlier, what Guy said earlier, where people are just mad at the Democratic Party. They look to Ken Martin, they look to the current environment, and they see the Democratic branding is like down for a whole host of really complex reasons that Republicans have been deliberately working for 30 years, and like, fuck this Ken Martin guy, it must be his fault. It's like, okay, well, who's going to step in next? It's like, nobody, because realistically, there's not really anything.
But why? Why is there nobody? Why is there nobody? Because of the fucking infrastructure. Because we don't help operatives move up. This was the same reason.
Yeah, but this infrastructure has been worked on by Republicans from the top down for the past at least 30 years. The DNC on its own is never going to be the singular thing to even move the needle. I don't think the RNC has ever been the singular thing to move the needle on this.
Well, no, but they all work together to move the needle. That's the point.
Yeah, and we don't do that. Martin has nobody to work with right now in terms of, like, there is no left's version of the Federalist Society or the Heritage Foundation or the Koch brothers or
why.
I mean, I think that's a good thing to analyze, but it certainly isn't because the RNC chair or the DNC chair has gotten these people invested.
It's about leadership, though, right? Because we don't have leadership on our side.
Yeah, I agree with that, but the leadership is not the RNC chair. It's not like the Republican National.
But it's a big part of it, right? Because the thing is that you could say that effectively for anybody, right? So then you're just basically shifting, like, it's like, again, like, if you don't have any infrastructure, then who are you going to look to build that infrastructure? Obviously, the people that are in positions of leadership in the Democratic Party. That's who should be responsible for it.
Sure, but I mean, I agree. If we don't even have a person to replace Ken Martin, maybe it's time to look to other places to see, like, well, what else can we beef up? Like, we're talking about media a lot. There is no left, like center left, lib left friendly media in this entire fucking country. No DNC chair is going to change that. No DNC chair.
Why not? Wait. First of all, how much do you think it would be to like start building something out like that? How much money do you think it would cost?
I think you'd need like $20 million to get something like that off the ground. No?
Hey, for what? What are you spending $20 million on?
You'd have to develop like a network or something like Daily Wire. That's what I would assume would be what you're talking about. I mean, what else are you talking about?
All of them.
Like Turning Point USA is huge. They have these annual events, right? That probably costs $10 million to produce that event. No?
They wouldn't spend that. But either way, like you don't need that for media infrastructure.
Well,
what do you wait, hold on. To get something broadcasting on like cable news networks, what do you think the investment is? Do you think that's on the scale of millions or tens or hundreds of millions?
And what is
Wait,
that?
for what?
What does that look like
to
to
get
you,
something,
Zee?
to get
What is
something on
it?
cable, to get like a cable media network type thing spun up, like a CNN, Fox News, MSNBC?
I mean, look at like what Adam Mockler's built out. You think that cost him like $20 million?
No.
I love Adam Mockler, but Adam Mockler is not CNN. Adam Mockler is not Fox News.
Yeah, but you don't need CNN or Fox News to build out a media infrastructure.
I think that these are huge parts of what the Republican Party thrives on, are things like Fox News. Where does Trump go to? Where do the cabinet level officials go to? They're not going to Joe Rogan. Yeah, they do. But their first stop is always Fox News, which I believe is the largest media consumption outlet probably in the entire world right now, but definitely in the United States of America.
People think that CNN is on our side and that there's other...
Yeah, but CNN is not on our side, though. It's not. That's why I said it's not really that lib-left friendly. Jake Tapper's writing books on how senile Biden was, and you got everybody constantly backstabbing themselves or stabbing their friends in the back over the DNC autopsy and Ken Martin has to go and everything. There is no like lib-left like circle jerk media like Fox News is. Fox News is just insane circle jerk, and it's again the largest media outlet in the United States. I don't think
we shouldn't build anything because we don't have Fox News.
I think that Fox News helps a ton, and I think that saying that like $3 million into a podcast studio is going to compete with that is not realistic.
Well, it's not into a podcast studio, but you would be able to invest in the infrastructure that you need. Start getting staff, start getting people reaching out. Why don't we have people reaching out to find new talent, to beef up new talent?
That's a whole expenditure of stuff that there's not even like a guaranteed return of investment on. The Daily Wire was arguably the most successful in the country at that, and they're falling apart.
I mean, now they are after all of these years, but that's also because Trump sucks and they didn't want to jump off the Trump train. That's their fault.
Sure, but I'm just saying that like that's even for something that is arguably one of your most successful kind of like alternative media outlets. I don't know what their revenue is or how much they've spent on it, but like that, I mean, Candace Owens spun off of that a few years ago. That wasn't just this year. They lost the young girl. I don't remember her name, and like now obviously they're having all these issues with firing staff and everything else. So I don't know. The idea that it would be simple to just like invest in an alternative media platform.
I don't think it's simple, but like we have Midas Touch. Like, is that not?
Yeah, they're doing a good job, but like I don't know if like a few $1 million would help Midas Touch. I don't know if some dollar cash infusion would help Midas Touch.
Listen, I think that we could start building out the infrastructure that we need to at least start to compete. I mean, this is part of the problem.
That's what Ken Martin is doing, though. He's starting it with the payments to every single state, so that we'll at least have some competitive thing in every single state. No.
But that's not going to do anything for media infrastructure. That's a whole separate issue. That's not going to do anything.
I don't know if it's on the DNC to be building media infrastructure.
That is that. What else should? What do you think the job is of the DNC?
Broadly speaking, I would imagine that the chair's job is to be kind of some kind of like central neural network that is connecting different aspects of the Democratic Party apparatus to itself. So
connecting different aspects,
not creating, connecting, not creating. The RNC did not create Fox News. The RNC did not create Joe Rogan. The RNC did not create
Hold on. You don't think that Charlie Kirk was directly working with the RNC? You don't think that Ben Shapiro was directly working with the RNC? You don't think they had anything to do with anything they were doing?
If you were to get rid of the RNC, do you think that would have significantly impacted the trajectory of either of those people?
If they didn't work with the
so. I don't think it would significantly impact I don't think that Ben Shapiro's like, thank God for my whatever collaboration I did with the RNC. Like my career is finally.
It's not about their collaboration. They all work together. That's the thing. They give each other connections.
I agree, but
Charlie Kirk's initial investor was a huge investor in the RNC.
That's fine, but the RNC did not create Ben Shapiro. The RNC did not create Charlie Kirk. You're asking Ken Martin to create these people to recruit this talent. That's a monumental task. That's like a $1 billion question.
You think that Charlie Kirk just spawned up on his own? Or Ben Shapiro
some
just
extent,
spawned up on their own?
to some extent, yeah, I think they.
You think Scott Presler just spawned up on his own?
I can't speak to Presler, but for Shapiro, didn't Shapiro have like a decently successful radio program? Like these guys get popular in conservative circles, they start to grow out that way, and then eventually
Popular conservative circles, exactly what you just said. Popular conservative circles, they're all working together to help push their content, to help push the messaging. Like people like Charlie Kirk were going to Mar-a-Lago and meeting with the fucking president. We don't have that on our side.
I don't disagree with you at all, but there's a difference between like making connections versus creating the thing itself. And I don't think that the RNC has created any of the things. They're just facilitating the connections. I don't think that Ken Martin can
the connection. That's what I'm asking Ken Martin to do. I'm not asking him to like create like a podcast studio where everybody's like going to the
I feel like when you say invested media infrastructure, that's exactly what you're asking, no?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What
are you looking for, Z? In your mind, what would be the perfect investment from the DNC right now? What if you had could get anything you want?
I would create the media arm. So I would be putting money into the staff that you need to find new talent, to find the creators already doing your work, and create the messaging pipeline in the same way that the RNC did it. The thing is that I think that people are confused. We don't need to recreate the roadmap. The roadmap has already been created. We just need to replicate what the Republicans have done successfully. And it seems to me that nobody wants to do that because everybody's like, well, we're different. We're clean. Fuck that. Like, why can't we just replicate what they've already done?
Well, why?
Wait. We can do that. But that process was like 30 plus years in the making, not a magical RNC chairhead that did it in 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen in 18 months, but we could certainly fucking start, right?
I mean, I think that Ken Martin has started that investment project. I haven't heard.
He hasn't.
Are there named people, not just anonymous people quoted by whatever Bulwark or whatever Axios or whatever? Like, where are these named Democratic officials coming out and being heavily critical of the DNC? I feel like I would take the opinions more seriously at that point. Other than
Anderson
just like
Clayton is a big one. She's come out multiple times. Malcolm Kenyatta. David Hogg. These people were all officials in the DNC.
Hold on.
Malcolm Kenyatta was
I'm talking about elected. Isn't Hogg, for all I love him, survived a school shooting, and I think it was a chair or something, or not even a chair, sat at some part of the.
No, he's vice chair.
Okay, so I'm not talking about people in the DNC. I'm asking, are there like elected officials that have had electoral success or electoral failures who are saying that like Ken Martin isn't doing enough?
Yes, there are.
Okay, who's like the biggest one for that? The largest one that I could.
Actually,
I'm just curious.
This list earlier. Hold on.
Well, but I gave two names at the very beginning, in Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen. These are two of our most vocal Democrats out there, and they still have confidence in Ken. But you hand waved it, Z, and you said that's because they're running for president.
Cory Booker, Sean Casten, Seth Moulton, all of these people have said that Ken Martin should resign.
Cory Booker said that Ken Martin should resign, and what was his rationale on that?
Cory Booker said that did not explicitly demand that he resigns, but said the Democratic Party desperately needs new leadership. What does that mean to you? I don't know.
I don't know. I can find his statements, but
well,
I mean, somebody like Cory Booker. Okay, Cory Booker's on our side. That he's a centrist too.
So, Z, why do you think Ken Martin hasn't done what you're proposing?
Because I don't think that Ken Martin is a real operative that knows how to do this.
But obviously he is, because he won. He did well in Minnesota, from what I recall. I mean, people seem to have great confidence in him.
Well, and that's why I was supporting him, because of that. It hasn't shaped out the way that he said it was going to.
So did he deceive? Did he lie? Or do you think he I
don't know if he lied. I don't know if he lied or if it's just incompetence. I don't know. I mean, I'd want to hope that it's just incompetence, that he just doesn't know what to do.
But I
also think that he made mistakes that are really hard to go back on now, right? Like, he hired somebody for this autopsy. Everybody knew that the autopsy report was going to be important. That was very, very clear from everybody, not just inside the Democratic Party, but outside the Democratic Party too. And that was completely fumbled by Ken Martin. Why? He hired his friend to do it, who he says was an unpaid consultant to the DNC. First of all, you should be paying for the autopsy report anyway, right? Because you need like real professionals to do this.
Well,
and then instead of him admitting that it went south, he like doubled down on it and made everybody else seem like they were fucking crazy.
I feel like
so to be clear, I think that Ken Martin's statements were not releasing it were true. And they were true. They were correct that people were just going to fight over it no matter what. I think we can argue that the autopsy itself, the way that he commissioned it or the way that it was put together, was probably sloppy and poorly done. I think that's a fair criticism.
I mean,
But,
probably sloppy, bro. He was talking about how freaking they said like, oh, all these things like happened in 2022, and Biden was president. Like, what?
But it is a bigger indictment of your position. You have so many criticisms for Ken Martin, and not a single name comes to mind for a replacement for him. I think that all you're expressing is just a general discontent with the Democratic Party. If nobody can come to mind, there's nobody that we think of that could do a better job.
Has got to be an operative that has got a strong track record. Who
has a better track record than Ken Martin?
I mean, there are definitely people that have strong track records that are younger and that understand.
Delivered like 12 years of like solid performance and wins in Minnesota beforehand. He did a really part of the reason why he won that election for the DNC.
So why, if Ken Martin is so strong, then why do you have people like Cory Booker and Mark Pocan saying that he needs to leave? Why?
I need to go and look at Mark Pocan's statements. Cory Booker's statement had nothing to do with Ken Martin. Cory Booker's statement was one.
What do you mean? It's right here. He said that they desperately need new leadership.
Hold on, no, wait. We can read the quote, okay? We need to focus on the people, and the Democratic Party desperately needs new leadership, and that's what's exciting to me about this cycle. It's not only new leaders emerging, but a new vision for our party, Booker told host Jake Tapper on CNN's State of the Union. This is not about like Ken Martin needs to step down. It's the idea that the Democratic brand is stagnating, and we need new leaders in the country.
What does that mean then? I mean, listen, Cory Booker is not going to come out and say
it means that the brand of the party. It means that the brand of the party is weak, which I think all of us agree with, and we need to have some kind of like solid feeling or vision or whatever for the Democratic Party. The DNC chair is not going to be the person that gives us that coherent vision. That's never.
Then what are they doing? That's what I just don't understand, because it's like, oh well, the person in charge. It's like, do you think that the person that was fucking like driving the ship had anything to do with the Titanic sinking or not? I mean, you're leading the ship. You're leading the entire party. That's your job.
That's literally not the job. If that was the case, Obama wouldn't have won against Hillary in 2008. Trump wouldn't even be anywhere near the presidency because the Republican establishment fucking hated him. That's not true. The RNC and the DNC are kind of there. They're to collaborate, coordinate, and facilitate things in the background. But the super big media creation stuff, the super big lawmaker discovery stuff that you're looking for, happens on a much more organic level for the Republicans and even for the Democrats than the idea that...
You keep saying organic, but it is anything but organic. It's not at all organic on the Republican side. It is very much structured in the way that they want it to be structured.
Yeah, Trump.
There's nothing organic.
Well, wait. If the RNC got their way all the time, do you think that Trump would have survived the 2016 primaries?
No, but you know why Trump ended up being the nominee? Because they didn't do all these fucking weird ass backdoor deals, and they had a free, fair primary election. That's why. Because they knew that if they tried to get in the person that they wanted, that they'd be weaker.
Okay, then in that case, you're just telling me, okay, if that's your argument, that's fine. But then they can't do anything. They're not guiding the ship. They're watching the ship, and then they're reacting appropriately to what's happening and unfolding before them publicly. The RNC could not steer the ship away from Trump, however much they might have
exactly.
wanted to.
And so they accepted that was going to be their fate, because the other option was them doing basically what we did with Bernie, which we're not going to get into. I know you don't want to talk about Bernie,
that's fine.
But like.
The guy who never got more of the photo support from the entire electorate, the guy who never approached Clyburn for nomination help, the guy who has never been able to carry black voters through Super Tuesday, the guy who never even been close to winning.
Then why not have a free and fair primary then?
We have free and fair primaries. What happened in the last one?
Bernie Sanders was winning in 2020 before Obama literally called everybody and told them to drop out.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. Just as a quick thing, if the only way your candidate
let's not go into the Bernie Sanders.
I mean, this is a true point. If the only way that your candidate can win is for three people of a similar ideology to remain in the race till the very end, your candidate was never going to win in the first place. They never should have. Like that's all of politics always. That's been people drop out of races when they realize they can't win. Sometimes in exchange for
Biden didn't win any of the first states.
Doesn't matter. That was
in Nevada. I think he came in fucking like 5th place.
Do you think that Bernie Sanders was ever going to outcompete Biden on Super Tuesday?
I don't know. Because we didn't get to fucking see what was going to happen.
No, it would have never happened. It has never happened. There's no indication that it would ever happen. The only thing that the Bernie bros can hang their hat on are like young Hispanic voter polling from 2016 and maybe 2020. This is the only thing that was the Bernie lifeline.
I want to ask you, why is the Democratic Party brand weak? You still haven't answered that question. Why is it weak?
Because the center left has not does not have a media apparatus. And because the Republican establishment, not the RNC, but the media apparatus, the billionaires that support it in the background, their think tanks like the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society, and the actual systemic structures, the systemic advantages that Republicans have in the United States through things like the Senate or the Electoral College or the balancing of the House are all things that have been massaged in Republican favor over long periods of time. And they have the luxury. What?
By who?
I don't buy the fucking Jews. Maybe you tell me. You're in the meetings. I don't know. By Republicans over long periods of.
By Republicans who are investing in the infrastructure of young people, right? Who are investing in the infrastructure of media companies, who are investing in the infrastructure of field races. Why is it that when we go to a state, like in the state of Nevada, for example, why is it that that Turning Point USA is there all year round, every fucking year, and has been there since 2013, but the Democrats hardly can even get out the vote during an election year? Why?
Well, now we have Ken Martin investing in every state and every district, so hopefully we get to see more of those people on the ground.
And what are they doing? They're actually registering voters in an automatic voter registration state.
Historically, my understanding is Democrats have always had a better ground game than Republicans. That hasn't been the deciding factor in a lot of races. Republicans have just made a concerted effort to control so many other parts of the media apparatus in a more shameless manner that Democrats could never, for whatever moral or whatever the fuck reasons, could never bring themselves to do. There is no, people are looking all this time for what is the left's answer to Joe Rogan. We need the left's answer to fucking Fox News, okay? I wish that I could find pornography that was as sexy as Sean Hannity slobbering every fucking Trump official that walks through this guy's show. These are some of those popular shows. Tucker Carlson is the most popular fucking late time whatever host in all the United States. Bill O'Reilly is one of the most popular hosts of the entire United States. These guys go from local radio to syndicated radio to Fox News, cable radio, and then they suck off fucking interviews over and over and over again. Ken Martin is never going to be able to stop that. David Hogg is never going to be able to stop that.
But according to you, the RNC and none of these people ever talk to each other, I guess.
They talk to each other, but I'm not saying you're not telling me that Ken Martin needs to talk to people. You're saying he needs to invent these people. The RNC does not invent these people. They just connect them.
He doesn't talk to people either. Ken Martin doesn't even return a fucking call or text to major donors.
Well, I don't know what it is then maybe Ken Martin should continue to do that, because historically the fundraising over this last cycle has been better than the entire history of the Democratic National the Party or whatever.
Because he raised $3 million more than
more than they did last time. Yeah. So it seems like he's
spending it on bullshit.
What?
And spending it on bullshit.
You say spending it on bullshit. It seems like the results pointing in favor of historic Democratic election wins. I mean,
but you don't have any evidence that was because of Ken Martin. You literally just said that Democrats have raised more individually than they ever have.
Well, so if we wanted to dive into this, the question would be, where is the DNC spending its money? When we won those 14 seats with Spanberger included, if we were to go and look at where the DNC was spending its money, we could, I guess, take a breakdown of how the money was spent. And then I guess the question would be, was that money moving the needle on any of these voters? I don't even know how we begin to answer that question. But I'm just saying that, you're trying to present this as though I'm the one fighting the uphill battle, whereas we have a Ken Martin guy who wants to invest in every state. He's doing that at higher levels than they ever have before. And all of our special elections have been blowing Republicans out of the water. And you're like, you have to prove the causality. It's like, I think
you just said it yourself. The Democratic Party branding is weak. Why is it weak? If he's doing so well, why is it weak?
Because Republicans own the media. They own all parts of the media.
Why? Because we don't invest. We don't invest in it.
What could Ken Martin, what could the Democratic Party have done to prevent Elon Musk from buying Twitter?
No, there's nothing that they could have done for that. That's not
a huge part of it. That's a massive. It's probably one of the worst social media platforms on the planet that's driving how much crazy shit towards the Republican media apparatus. What could the Democratic Party have done about Fox News?
Z, if I had my way, I would invest $5 million in clippers to go create clips of Democrats all day long, like Neon and all these streamers do, because these guys have a huge advantage with this bullshit. But
the Republicans are putting out 10 times more content, or even more than that. I read somewhere that was 500 times more content than Democrats put out every day. That's insane.
That's not surprising at all to me, though, given that when they put out that content, it's getting echoed at every single part. If I'm retarded enough and I put out a retarded enough fucking investigation, I might get noticed by the President of the United States and Elon Musk on X, okay? My name is Nick Shirley, right? There is no equivalent, no amount of me being cognitively impaired is going to get Anderson Cooper or Jake Tapper. I don't even know if Cooper does media anymore. Any of these people or Katie Collins or whatever, none of these people are going to pay attention to me. Just our media is not the same.
Because they don't talk.
Sure, but what you're talking about there, I agree, is a thing that needs to be worked on. I don't know who on the Democratic side has recognized the level of shamelessness that we might have to go to in order to move our party in a competitive direction. I don't know who that is. I haven't seen that. I would love
this is a big part of the problem because we don't
find Ken
invest in
Martin and
operatives
Batman my
early.
way into his house and tie him to his chair and give him an hour-long presentation on my schizo view of the media. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody in the lib left world it can even acknowledge that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, the biggest problem now is that, as I said, Ken Martin is going to go. I mean,
I don't know if that's even true. If he's supported by party leadership. And nobody even knows.
Not. That's a big part of the problem is that right now inside the party, it is split on Ken Martin right now.
I don't put any stock in anonymous people when people like Hakeem Jeffries and other like actual named leadership is willing to say, I don't think that, and Ro Khanna is willing to say, I don't think that Ken Martin should step down.
Well, it doesn't matter what they say because what matters is what the delegates say. That's what matters. Because
that's fine, but even in that Bulwark article, it seems like the delegates stopped short at the same place where they were like, fuck, we don't know who would even replace him.
But why is that? Because they don't invest in any operatives. They don't invest in an infrastructure that they need to make sure that there are people. The people that they're floating around are terrible. Like if Foz gets in there, it is going to be way worse than Ken Martin. Way worse. You want Hassan?
Okay, so then why?
I understand, but it's like going to a male clinic and getting your testosterone tested over and over again, finding out that your T is low, and then going back and trying to figure out like what type of pillow we need to sleep on at night in order to bring our testosterone high again. Like you're trying to solve a problem that is so much bigger than just the DNC, and so people can express some frustration with it, but you can swap in whoever you want there. It's not going to fix any of these problems or make them that much or put anything more towards it. What I've seen Ken Martin himself put towards it, I just don't know what more. If there was an alternative candidate to suggest. And then he was like, these are the things that I want to do instead. I was like, okay, well, maybe I guess we could consider that. But we don't have an alternative. That tells me that the complaints are just mad about the general state of things. And Ken Martin is an easy scapegoat. And then that's kind of it. That's what the feeling is to me. Sorry.
I don't remember people trying to oust Jamie Harrison.
Is Jamie Harrison the one who was the chair of the DNC when we lost to Donald Trump?
Yes.
Then why would that be your go-to example?
Well, no, that's a perfect example because he was doing so fucking badly. We lost to Donald Trump, and people still weren't that concerned, right?
Well, so
the fact that people are sounding the alarm right now, there's a reason why they're sounding the alarm. Do you think that the delegates are dumb? You think the state party chairs are dumb?
I don't know if the delegates are having these alarms because I only ever see unnamed.
They are literally
people.
Look it up yourself online. How do you think that the New York Times are talking about this? You think they're just fucking talking about this for no reason?
The New York Times, the same publication that's putting out things saying that Gavin Newsom is homophobic.
I don't have. Or any of that.
Literally said, listen, give me some names. If I see named people, you guys are DNC voting members. There's only a few.
I gave you 3 people and you rejected all of them.
Because
Anderson Clayton, Malcolm Kenyatta, David Hogg. These are just some people that come to mind.
There's a lot of person. Booker was not saying Ken Martin needs to go. The named people seem to be standing with
No, I just mentioned delegates. You asked for delegates. These are people that are delegates to the DNC that have that are chairs.
My understanding is there's no process to remove a DNC chair. He would have to step down. Is that incorrect?
He would have to step down, or they're coming up with different solutions of which they could potentially get him out. Then nobody has released anything to the public yet on how that could happen.
I've read it's not.
They got David Hogg out though. They got David Hogg out, so somehow they were able to do it, right?
That was some insane. We didn't have enough women on the ballot thing. That was weird as shit.
Well, because all of a sudden they can come up with new rules, right?
Well, but in all fairness, Malcolm Kenyatta and David Hogg are not Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen, who are 2 of the biggest names.
Arguably more powerful.
No, they're not.
They're more powerful because they actually have votes within the DNC.
It doesn't matter. The Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen are 2 of the biggest names and faces in the Democratic Party right now.
Ro Khanna?
Yes, Ro Khanna.
Yes, absolutely.
He's huge.
As much as I don't even like him. I hate Ro Khanna. I don't know how a guy feels about it. He's a slopulous. Ro Khanna is a massive. Yeah, I know you do. Ro Khanna is he's like probably one
progressive.
Yeah, he's super. Ro Khanna's like one of the. I feel like one of the biggest faces of the Democratic Party right now, for better or for worse. Yeah.
Well, that's because he's preparing to run for president.
Okay, but
I don't know if that's true, but it doesn't matter. But
nobody knows who the hell Malcolm Kenyatta is. I met Malcolm Kenyatta. He's a great guy. He interviewed. Well, but there's like 4 vice chairs, and nobody knows who they are. Nobody cares. They mean nothing.
Public officials were also supporting Biden, by the way, up until he dropped out.
Yes.
Sure.
That was a great move. That really fucking helped us a lot, didn't it?
And you know who the 2 strongest people, the 2 biggest people were Bernie and AOC, who came out the gate to support Biden after his bad debate.
Well, they're fucking idiots. Sorry.
that was always going to be a tough call, no matter what. Yeah.
What do you mean it's going to be a tough call, Barton? What do you mean Biden shouldn't have even run to begin with? How could you say that was a tough call?
First of all, you can say that in retrospect that maybe he shouldn't have run to begin with. But like, if we lose that election, everybody's going to be looking back and they're going to go, we just told the guy who got more votes than any president in all of U.S. history, who literally beat the guy that you were running against. We told him to not run, and we ran somebody else instead. If we would have lost that election, all of the people that advocated for that would be like the silliest people in the universe right now. Like, it's easy to hindsight
everybody
it, but...
knew that he had cognitive decline. This was not like a...
Everybody
I mean, Biden, we knew that. We saw it in the debate. He wasn't even coherent. I'm not saying that Trump was any better, but holy fuck, you don't think that was a bad debate?
Yeah, it was a bad debate.
Lord.
Do you know what happened when Trump had a bad debate with Kamala?
It doesn't matter because obviously he had enough people that were backing
Trump
him.
had a bad debate with Kamala. He said, I'm not going to do it anymore. Maybe that would have been the solution. Just tell Biden, don't do any fucking debates for this guy. Fuck it. Trump didn't debate anybody. On the Republican side, he didn't debate Nikki Haley. He didn't debate DeSantis. He said, fuck him. I'm not going to debate. He had one bad debate where mommy Kamala laid the fucking smackdown on him. And Trump said, oh, I'm done with that shit. Fuck it. We should have said the same with Biden, maybe.
He had special privileges that we don't get. But Biden did not look good in that debate. And everybody was saying from the beginning, there were a lot of people on the inside from the beginning that were saying that Biden should not run. They were saying
that's
that,
an
and
easy
it didn't
thing
matter.
when they have no skin in the game, but like half the people that were calling for an open primary just magically thought Bernie Sanders was going to be the nominee anyway, so it doesn't matter.
You don't think operatives have skin in the game? You think that they want to lose to Donald Trump?
Do you think that everybody that was pushing Biden wanted to lose to Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Well, I think that whether or not Biden should have stayed in at the very beginning, that was a tough call. That was always going to be a tough call. If you're saying that people only wanted him in because what, they wanted the Democrats to lose?
Well, I don't know. I don't know why they'd want him in. It was a dumb decision to keep him in to begin with.
Okay.
They already knew that from the beginning.
What is your theory of mind for why people encouraged him to stay in if...
The whole point that I was trying to make was that public officials were still supporting Biden even after that disastrous debate. They were still doing that.
Sure.
Which means that I don't think we should just like look to like officials and say like, oh, well, they're the people that we should be following when clearly they led us down the wrong path before.
Okay, so we could make the same argument against Malcolm Kenyatta and David Hogg, right? Like, I mean, it can cut both ways.
What do you mean?
So I'm saying you can pick your champions. I've got Ro Khanna and Van Hollen saying Ken Martin should stay, and you've got Kenyatta and David Hogg saying he should go. And then you have Cory Booker with just a general statement saying we need new leadership. I think you got a little misled by that one, Z. I think he was just talking about we need new leaders in the party, not a new leader of the DNC. But I haven't seen, to Destiny's point, nobody big has come out and said it's time for Ken Martin to step down. I'm sorry, but Malcolm Kenyatta is unknown outside of Pennsylvania, I think, where he's from. Nobody knows who the hell Malcolm Kenyatta is.
You don't think Mark Pocan? You don't think...
No, nobody knows Mark Pocan. Are you kidding me? Nobody knows Mark Pocan. No way. He's nobody.
They do. Of course they do. What do you mean? Like that? You're just saying that because what you think? Like I would love to see a poll on like Ro Khanna versus Mark Pocan. I mean,
I'm betting my entire life and every dollar earned in the future, I will be a slave for Mark Pocan if he has more name recognition than Ro Khanna. It's going to be 10 to. There's not even close. Wait, what is this guy? Mark? How do you spell his name?
What do you think? Hold on. Do you think that somebody that's going to run for president is going to go against the DNC chair right now?
I don't know. Maybe.
Sure.
That is not strategic.
Yes,
that is fucking.
I think so because the public is kind of there right now where they're pointing fingers at Ken and his stupid autopsy report. So they're kind of going.
Why are they pointing fingers at him? If Ken is doing a good job, why are they even fingers being pointed? Again, it didn't happen with Jamie Harrison. Well, this didn't happen with previous DNC chairs to this level that it's in the public.
Because right now, it didn't happen in the past because we had a president and everybody in the presidency to point to. Now we're in the offseason and nobody knows who to point the finger at besides Ken Martin.
Exactly.
Who would you point the finger at besides Ken Martin if you want to express frustration with the Democratic Party? Again, if there was like another person that could take that spot or was offering to take that spot or was excited about taking that spot, I think I'd feel differently. But right now, it just seems like we're kind of like things are just kind of rough with the Democratic branding and people just point at Ken Martin. But like, I don't know what the specific complaint is or anybody who's willing to step up and do something different.
Do you think that the Democratic Party branding should be the responsibility of the DNC chair?
I think they should play a part in it, but I don't think that the branding can be
Who runs
determined.
Who runs the Democrat pages on social media?
Here's the thing, Z.
Wait,
I don't.
wait. Who do you think is responsible for the Republican Party's branding?
The RNC. What do you mean?
That's just not even remotely tied to reality. It's
What do you
Donald
mean?
Trump.
Do you think that
It's
the
Donald Trump right
Democrats
now
on social media is outside the DNC apparatus? No.
What? Do you think that it's like the Republican Twitter account that is like managing the reputation of the Republican Party right now?
Well, no, because I think that they have outside groups that are doing that for them. Again, they
Sure,
have
it wasn't in 2020. It wasn't in
other ones that are already doing that for them.
Yeah, it wasn't in 2016. The Republican brand does not come from the RNC. I don't think anybody even has known.
Where does it come from?
It comes from their entire top-down media apparatus that they've worked for decades to construct.
And who do you like? Where do you think that starts?
It starts from the ground up and from the top down. It starts
From
with their.
It has to start from somebody.
Wherever it starts from, it's not the RNC. It has nothing to do with the RNC.
Well, then who randomly starts it?
Nobody randomly starts it. It's a thing that has been growing on. Do you think that if I were to go to Ben Shapiro's autobiography, do you think in the beginning he would credit his early success as a radio host to the RNC, or him starting the Daily Wire to the RNC?
I think
none of these people would point to it. Glenn Beck wouldn't. Rush Limbaugh wouldn't.
Where did it start from? It was the infrastructure of the RNC.
I disagree. I
think it starts.
If there's evidence of that, I'd be super curious to see it. But I've never even seen or heard that talk.
I don't know where else you would think it would come from. Like, how do you think somebody like Charlie Kirk is just able to like go to Mar-a-Lago?
I don't even know if Trump wants the RNC at Mar-a-Lago. What does the RNC have to do with? I don't think the RNC has much at all.
How do you think that all these people get connected? How do you think that happens? It doesn't.
A lot of them, like, honestly, my guess is probably the fucking people like Milo.
I went to the Daily Wire party, okay, and I was walking around, and there were RNC members there. There was fucking members of Congress there. There were media people there. Like,
that's fine, but like all of these people are like friends with and like connected with other people. They're not all going through the RNC head all the time. A lot of these people just know each other because a lot of these Republican operatives have been working for a long time in this space.
At the RNC, that is the center of the infrastructure of the Republican Party.
Does Milo Yiannopoulos even have like an official? Is he like an RNC sitting person?
Well, no, because first of all, I don't even is Milo like even like considered like part of that apparatus anymore?
As crazy and as horrible and pathetic as it is, I'm pretty sure Milo is like a super connector behind the scenes for Republican things. He's literally the guy that connected Fuentes to Trump or Fuentes to Kanye West, like, unfortunately. But like there's like a million other people like that on the Republican operative side for these people that are working to do shit. I'm sure the RNC maybe helps a little bit, but none of these people started because or owe their success.
Where do you think the operatives in the Republican Party come from?
Some of them might start at the, I don't know, like the Heritage Foundation or the Federalist Society, or
a lot of them start at the RNC and they get connected to these groups through the RNC.
Name one.
What do you mean?
Did Roger Stone come from the RNC?
Roger Stone certainly interacts with them.
Yes, but he didn't come from them. There's a difference between identifying people to connect people with versus creating them.
Well, how do you think that connection even begins? Roger Stone isn't the one connecting them. It's the RNC connecting with him.
Yeah, but we don't care about the connection. We care about the talent. If we have the talent, the connection is easy.
But where does the talent come from?
Not the RNC.
Well, okay, let's like take somebody like Scott Presler, for example. Do you think Scott Presler would be like famous on his own?
I don't know anything at all about Presler. I'd have to look him up. You go to this.
And he's very important to the infrastructure of the Republican Party because he's registering a fuck ton of people. So like somebody like him, like where do you think that these people come from? They amplify the messaging. That's the difference. The Democrats don't do that.
Give me a minute. I will read on Presler and give a...
Says he was a field director, regional field director in Virginia. That's where he started.
In Virginia. For who?
It just says the Republican Party in 2015 and 2016.
We're done here.
We're done here. Okay, but then like people like Charlie Kirk didn't start like that. You know, big personalities. Ben Shapiro. I think if we wanted to duplicate what they've done on the right, it would take someone like Destiny going to a couple billionaires and saying, hey, man, I'll shill your bullshit and we'll try to get people elected that support your business interests if you give me a couple $1 million and help boost me. I think that's the story.
What you guys don't get about the RNC amplifies good talent and the DNC does not.
The
And what
RNC
is our-
amplifies good talent, and the DNC does not. I just think
Has the
they have
DNC
business.
reached out
They
to
just have
people?
huge.
Have they reached out to Destiny? Have they reached out to Adam Mockler? Have they reached out to Luke Beasley? What are they doing
No,
to
because
connect
these
all of
guys haven't sold their souls for money. They actually care about this stuff, and they're not willing to just
Well, it's
be
not just that too, but
empty
there's also a
vessels.
different expectation in our party that's just not how we do things, which needs to change.
Well, and that's bullshit because we should do things like
I
that.
understand, but the DNC is not that. It's that change. I don't think is going to be pushed by the DNC.
But why can it be pushed by the RNC but not the DNC? Why is it that like we have
they're corrupt.
You keep wait. Well, no, that's not true. You keep giving
we
this
can be
as
corrupt too. Fuck that. I don't care as long as we win.
if the Republican establishment could choose one thing right now to keep, and then they have to delete the other thing and rebuild it from the ground up, do you think they would keep Fox News or do you think they would keep the RNC?
I don't know.
I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's remotely close.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they would need the RNC again is the hub that amplifies this all.
But see,
Yeah,
nobody's
hubs
Fox
are
News,
hubs.
Fox News. What is Fox News? Isn't making Scott Presler famous?
But so you
I don't
think
even. Okay, is the Presler guy a huge deal? I don't know any of
Yes,
I've heard the name
Scott
before, but
Presler
is
is
this
a
guy like,
huge fucking deal. Scott Presler is one of him and Charlie Kirk single-handedly have registered like 5 million plus voters since 2020.
personally,
Big
like he
deal.
walks around and he asks people to sign up to? What do we mean by when we say like he's? I'm not saying he's not. I just don't know
First of
what.
all,
That this
according
is like
to
the
Mother
fixation point that-
Jones, according to Mother Jones, Scott Presler is primarily funded by Elon Musk. That's one of his
I wonder how that happened.
major donors.
I wonder how that whole connection happened.
You think through the RNC that they connected him? That's it?
I think that was probably
Well,
the first step.
So
Absolutely,
what did you,
especially when you just told me that he was working for the DNC.
what did you think about the DNC rolling out the red carpet for content creators at the convention?
I don't think it really mattered.
They had a whole stage just for new media.
I was there. I was
Okay.
at the DNC convention.
Okay, so you saw what they did.
My friend runs that program. I was telling you guys about him last time. The guy that runs Chorus.
Okay, so
yeah,
they really tried to focus on these guys and give them space and give them up
2 or 3 days. And I mean, sure, yeah, there was a lot of content that was created out of that. But what happens after that?
Well, look, I'm with you. I want to copy a lot of the stuff that these guys have done on the right, but we're years behind them, and it takes time to catch up.
So when do we start? Do we just say, oh, well, we're just years behind, so fuck it, I guess we're fucked? Like, no, I believe the job of an operative is to make it better. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right?
But we all agree that it's to make it better. But it sounds like you're looking for like a silver bullet, and I don't think that's ever coming from.
There's no silver bullet. And I said the same thing on CNN when I was with you, Destiny, when we were doing that Donnie interview last July. I said that people like Charlie Kirk is the best, was at the time, obviously he was alive, the best operative of our generation, and that we can't be mad as Democrats until we put the footwork in that somebody like Charlie Kirk has. That's what I said, and I still stand by that to this day. If we put the footwork in and then we're still behind, then I think that we can complain and bitch about it, blame it on the billionaires or whatever the fuck, the progressives want to do. But right now, we haven't even started to put the footwork in to be able to do that.
Sure, but I just don't know what the head of the DNC can do to facilitate that. And if it's such an easy and obvious thing. Sure.
The thing is that I believe
you say be a connector, the people aren't there to connect. Those people just
Yes, and why are they not there to connect? Because they don't have operatives. They don't do it. The thing is that you have to understand that this is a big infrastructure problem amongst the Democratic Party. It is not just the DNC. The DCCC, the fucking steering committee, they all have this problem. Why is it that the average age of operatives on the RNC side is like 35 or 40 years old? On our side, it's fucking like 18. Why is that? Because people don't stay long term in these positions because they pay them like shit, they burn them out, they don't give them the right training, and then they throw them on these projects that they feel like they're fucking a fish out of water. Those are things that we can change.
So I guess if you were to look for somebody different running for the chair, because we have no name that we can even consider as an alternative, what would be like the one thing that you would look for with like some level of detail? What would you be expecting this person to do?
I'd be expecting them to build out the different operations that we need. So the first thing is what I was talking about with the state level parties, right? Connecting them to the local organizations and having that exchange
Wait.
properly.
One thing at a time. So Why are state parties not already connected to local organizations?
Because there's no connector of anything.
Are the state parties retarded, or are the local organizations retarded? How can they can't just
Both.
email each other?
Sometimes
Like,
it's both. Sometimes they're in states that, like, for example, like Nebraska, right? Like sometimes, like Nebraska, for example, is like entirely volunteer operated. They have like no budget at all. They don't have time to be going out making connections with organizations.
Shouldn't the connections be mutually beneficial? Wouldn't this be one of the first
They
things?
should,
If you're
yes.
talking about people that are all volunteered, if you're talking about all people that aren't even getting paid, then it sounds like there's not even any value in reaching out to these people anyway. It's a defunct organization that's worthless on its own. Like, what?
No,
I don't
but you
understand.
need to rebuild it. That's the problem. You need to rebuild it. And then once you start, and then so that's one issue. Okay, the biggest
Well,
issue.
how much money would be talking here just for one district in Nebraska, for one, I guess, just an electoral vote, or I don't know, for a congressional district? How much money are we talking here that would require to be invested? And it has to be invested in like a meaningful way.
Well,
So you have
first
to
of
have
all,
staff
I
that
don't
knows
think
how to
that they
invest
should be
it.
going after those big seats anyway, right? I think that they should be going after local level seats. I think the state parties need to be doing more to get people into the city council seats, the state rep seats, because you build power from the ground up. That is how it works. You don't. Nobody just like run unless you're fucking AOC, like once in a
I don't
fucking
disagree
blue
with you, but
period,
isn't this
right?
what Ken Martin is doing by throwing money, 20,000 a month, I guess, at least to every single state, so that they can start to make these
20,000 a month.
investments?
It's not going to build out what they need though.
How much money then should it be per month
I
to every
I don't think
single?
it's necessarily a money problem. I think it's an infrastructure problem.
Where do you get the infrastructure if not by spending money and investing in talent to build out the infrastructure?
I think that you need to do more to build out the infrastructure yourself by connecting these organizations to the state party.
The organizations that are run by volunteers, the people that don't get paid any money, can't even email the party to be
No,
connected.
organizations that have funding. There are a lot of organizations, like for example, like just take like Texas, for example, right? Like the Texas Organizing Project. That's a huge organization. There, I mean, there's a lot like that. I mean, even like out here in Nevada, we have like Make the Road Action. We have a ton of organizations, and they're not connected to the infrastructure of the party a lot of the time. This is a problem. And the RNC doesn't have this problem. The RNC, you go into these states, and even the states that they don't need to, like, for example, Oregon, right? Like, the RNC doesn't need to do shit in Oregon. It's a blue state, but they do, right? Like, they're still involved in all these races. But that's just one problem. The other problem is, again, the operative problem, right? Of you need to get these people to have, you need better training systems. You need people that are older that can actually take on these positions. You need to pay them what they're worth to do that. And you need to be able to build that out so that way you get young talent to come in and they have somewhere to go.
Let me.
That's a problem.
Is the DNC doing anything right in your opinion, Z?
Yeah, I think that they're doing. I like the fact that they're being more aggressive online now.
So their Twitter account calling Steve Miller an ugly fuck.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, based.
Okay, so obviously they've made some good decisions there, and they're focusing on their social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that. I think that's a good first step.
okay.
Taken a long fucking time to get here because we've always been like, oh, we need to be nice. We got to be the nice guys. Like, no, we actually fucking don't need to be the nice guys. We actually need to be aggressive.
So when I look at people like Scott Presler, I was Googling a little bit about him, and to me, these are people that are being paid to cause problems in order to like hold back our politics. I always think of us on the left as having a heavier lift in that we're trying to progress this country forward. We're trying to do big change and implement policy, whereas the right is just dicking around trying to piss people off and cause division. Like I guess Scott Presler was involved in some like march against Sharia and Jan 6th protests. So I don't.
They amplify fucking idiots.
Okay,
they
so
amplify people like Riley Gaines.
but the equivalent would be like us investing in Hassan and investing millions of dollars to raise his voice.
Wait. Why are we saying Riley Gaines? What? That was a bit.
That was a Turning Point does this, right? Where they invest in these like nobodies.
But
Turning Point is the reason why we even know who Riley Gaines is. We wouldn't know who Riley Gaines is.
Well, no, but that was a situation that like I think that was them picking a thing and then investing in the person after the national thing had been created. No.
What do you mean? Yeah, she had lost the race, and then they made that a big story, but that wasn't a big story. Nobody gives a fuck that there was a random trans. Turning Point amplified that story.
Sure, but it was them. It was also the fact that the entire Republican media establishment was willing to go along with that story.
Yes. Yes,
This has
this is what
nothing
I'm
to do with the
saying. This is
RNC.
what we need to
Okay.
do. We agree on this. We literally agree on this. We think that we need to have amplification channels. You've said this so many times.
I know, but it doesn't. But the DNC has basically nothing to do with this. Like very, very, very
What do you
little.
mean? Like, I don't get what you mean. Like, what the RNC has a lot to do with this. So why wouldn't the DNC?
Ken Martin cannot go to Fox News. Ken Martin can't go to CNN and tell Jake Tapper that he needs to be like Sean Hannity. That's just not
Well,
possible.
right now he can't because he doesn't have any fucking leverage. So
He'll never have the leverage for that. We just don't operate that way over here. This has to be like a cultural
why
process.
do we always have to operate like the fucking good guys? How is that
I'm
helped
not
us?
saying we have to operate like the good guys, but the bad guys didn't become the bad guys overnight. I said this was decades of the making.
Well,
You're
but
not
why
going to
can't we
create this.
start? I just don't understand this. Like, well, it's going to take so long. We can't. So we might as well just fucking dig our grave now. I don't want to
No one
dig
is
the
saying
grave.
dig
I
our
wanna see
grave.
how
It's just it seems like you're expecting crazy results in 16 months.
I'm
that's
not
just never.
expecting crazy results. I'm just expecting us to start taking the right steps towards creating the infrastructure that we need to be more competitive. That's what I
Sure.
want.
And I think if it was that obvious or that easy, I feel like there would be at least one other person that would be trying to step up to have the chair job.
Yeah, I was going to
But it
ask
seems like
Zee
there's
why.
like one
But
person.
again, the problem is that we don't have the operatives there because we haven't invested in them. Like when people in the Republican Party they don't have this problem, right? Because they have so many people that could fill those roles because they have a higher average age, they have a higher average salary. Why do you think that Democrats so often in the influencer space go over to the Republican side? Why do you think that is? It's very rare that you see it happening the other way around.
Because they care about money and views.
Thank you. Yes, money and views, because they have the infrastructure that we don't have. So why can't we start competing with that infrastructure in a stronger way? Why?
Because I think
Just it's going to take a long time. So what?
well, because they're just frauds over there. They're just paying people to say random shit. So do you want the DNC to pour money into good-looking, charismatic people to just parrot nonsense?
Hell yeah.
Don't make me answer that question.
I feel like this is so. When I say the DNC has nothing to do with this, I think that the far left has built a comparable, not in size but in structure, messaging apparatus to MAGA. They have no RNC or DNC equivalent. They've just managed to do that through their little media outlet. No, the tankies, the Majority Reports, the Hassan Pikers, the whoever the gay guy.
Isn't that embarrassing? Are you embarrassed by that? That like these tankies can build out a better infrastructure than we can? As like
Yeah, they did it without an RNC or DNC. That's what I'm saying. It's nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with it.
I'm willing to bet there's a lot of.
Embarrassing that they were able to do that.
I'm willing to bet there's a lot of Republican.
That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. No, that's a point that cuts against you. They were able to do it without an RNC or without a DNC. So it seems like the RNC or the DNC is not the deciding factor
But
here.
they're not. I mean, what you think the Majority Report is like more popular than the fucking Charlie Kirk show?
I'm not saying that they're more popular. I'm saying that they have the infrastructure that's built for them. Now they're just trying to I guess like capture more viewers or more listeners. But they have that infrastructure where they can bring up.
I mean, listen, I don't want to talk shit because I'm like Emma. I used to work with her at TYT, but like that's just like the Majority Report does not have like high views.
That's fine, but the Majority Report serves the same function on that side as Fox News. We don't have anything like that on the lib left. We don't have these types of equivalent platforms where they will just mindlessly jerk off their candidates and their teammates and mindlessly attack the opposition. The far left have built that. People like Emma are retarded enough and are compromised enough in values and lacking in spine enough to be that person. But we don't have anybody like that who is lib left. We just don't have those people. Now, in terms of what we can do to get those people, I don't know. But the far left did it without an RNC or without a DNC or without any chair.
Yeah, but they're not competing at that level at all. Like you think you like talk to an average person in like my fucking rural community, you think they know who fucking Emma Vigeland is? Like, no. I mean, no offense, but like
no, because they're not that size. But they also don't know. It might be that more people know Emma Vigeland than fucking Ken Martin. I mean, or the RNC chair. I mean, nobody knows who the RNC chair is, right? Really? What percentage of voters do you think know who the RNC chair is? If I had to guess, my guess is 3% or less.
Yeah,
maybe 10% of Republicans or less.
The DNC chair, I don't think needs to be like a popular media figure. That's not their job. Their job is to be a behind-the-scenes operative. I don't think we need to know who it is. They're not like a media.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't know what one could do other than build the mysterious media arm that's going to somehow create the
media arm is one part of it. Like, why can't we have a better, stronger operative arm? Like, why can't we do that? Why can't we pay people more money and encourage them to stay in jobs and connect them to jobs? Why can't we do that? I've done that at my
about the amount of debt they have. That they have too much debt right now.
Why do they have all that debt? The RNC's got 95 million cash on hand.
Because Trump is strong-arming people and they're bribing him with money. That's why. But why?
We spent a lot more than the RNC did last year.
But Zee, why? How come you're not attracted to a career at the DNC? Because you're obviously very passionate. You have good ideas. I don't disagree with you on a lot of this stuff. But why? How come you don't try to get in there and change from within?
Because I make a ton of money at my firm. Why would I feel like that's the thing is like I've been able to build out like an operation at my organization where I can run 150 races a year and I have 30 staffers that I'm able to.
But if the DNC is cucking you, right? If the DNC is they're not holding you back, you don't think?
No, listen. I get DCCC contracts. I mean, I'm not like. I don't think, but the thing is like, I just don't think that it's enough for us to just keep saying like, it's going to take too long. Because the thing is, if you don't want the tankies to take over, you need to give them a better fucking
But here's the thing, Zee, the money they were offering was like $70,000 a year to work at the DNC. And
you think that's enough for like a mid-30s person?
I'm just saying that would be a downgrade for me, and I applied for the job because I want to help the party. I want to move things forward, you know?
And they didn't even call you back, right?
No, didn't call me back. But I'm just saying though, like
you're not the only one.
But you're
can't even call back major donors.
But you're so passionate about this that I think it would be a shame to not get involved.
Well, I listen, I mean, I'm very involved on the in terms of like I run DCCC contracts. I helped Pat Ryan get on I help like 15 plus candidates a year in New York just alone get on the ballot. Like, and that's the thing is like, we need operatives doing that work, right? That you're not going to be able to do necessarily as like a DNC chair. But I think that like we need to work together to get somebody in, because I'm telling you guys right now, you don't believe me, but if Ken Martin goes, which he's going to probably go, the next person that gets in there is going to be a fan of Hassan Piker. Is that what you want?
No, but it sounds like kind of what you're advocating for, because it sounds crazy.
I don't want that.
No,
Hell
but you
no.
are. But you kind of are, because you're talking about you're talking about pouring money into the craziest voices who are causing the most engagement and outrage, people like Scott Pressler and Charlie Kirk. That's the formula you're asking to repeat, basically, is you have these people who are addicted to fame and money, and they're instigators who are able to rile people up and divide us and accomplish nothing except get people like Donald Trump elected, who are criminals and have no interest in moving this country forward anyway. So we could repeat that formula, sure, but then we would just have a Democrat version of what garbage they have on that side.
Why do you think people like Scott Pressler? Why do you think he has millions of followers?
Because he just talks shit.
Botted? Wait, to be clear, it's because they're botted. Scott Pressler's not millions of followers. Legitimately,
but I'm talking about, obviously people do like Scott Pressler, right?
He stands for nothing. He just But
why do people like him?
Because he's just giving them a boogeyman. He's giving them bullshit and something to blame for their problems. And he doesn't offer any solution. He blames Sharia law. He blames the deep state. And if we get my people elected, we'll surely turn this country around. Ah, shucks, we got elected and we couldn't do anything about it. Huh?
But he's a fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a bullshitter and he accomplished nothing. He didn't move this country forward.
We don't have fighters. That's part of our problem. Why can't we get people that are fighters? Like, do you like Gavin Newsom's strategy?
Sure, I think it's very effective.
Why isn't the DNC going in that direction then?
They are. They just called Stephen Miller an ugly fuck on Twitter.
Well, now they are, after fucking how long have we all been? I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, we all started this, right? Gavin Newsom's team, Destiny, Mockler, us.
Because I think we have a different vision for this country, and it doesn't involve division and outrage and pointing fingers.
Do we want to win or not?
Yes, but what kind of victory is that? You know, I could go bang my neighbor's wife if I go knock him out right now and take advantage of her, but I don't want to do that. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I want to win her over, and I want to show my neighbor that I'm a great guy and she's with the wrong guy, you know?
I'm not necessarily here to be right. I'm here to fucking win. That's my job. My job is to win elections. That's what
not
I'm here to do.
your job.
I don't know why anybody else is here to do, because the thing is, it's not virtuous when you get fucking Donald Trump in office. I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't make you a virtuous person.
No, our mission.
It means you suck at your job and you hate this country. If that's what you're trying to do.
I think that if we want to have if we want to win, I just the fact that there's not even an alternative being suggested to Ken Martin, it just makes me. I don't even know. I'm not even sure
There
what
are alternatives being suggested to Ken Martin, and I'm telling you right now that they're not people you're going to want. And that's why I'm out here sounding the alarm and being like, if you are
how? We're not in the DNC. Who is an alternative person?
I told you, one of the top people that they're floating right now is Bernie Sanders' campaign manager from 2020, Foz is it Shaker or Shakur? I think it's Shaker.
Well, you're about to see.
Wait, hold on, wait. Is this a person you would support for the position?
No, absolutely the fuck not. If he runs, I will fucking run if they don't have a centrist.
Okay, well then who?
I want Ben Wickler, to be honest.
Can you run for this position if you're not already like a DNC member?
Yeah, anybody can run. But you have to get the delegate votes. That's what you have to do. That's extremely difficult, right?
Okay, I didn't know you to be a delegate member or not.
There's 400 delegates, and you've got to convince enough of those delegates for you.
Why is there not a single viable person in your eyes running for this, or talking about running for this, or pushing for this?
Because we don't have operatives. This is a problem. Like the people even that they're floating around, these are not operatives. These are activists. There is a big difference between operatives and activists.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. So it's over then, or?
No, I think that we need to find like the next person. I think that's really fucking important right now, and we need to sound the alarm that it cannot be somebody like Foz. It can't be
digging them up from out of digging them up from I don't. Where are we finding these people at? I just don't know.
I don't know. We need to find them though. We need to find them right now. This is very important.
If this is where we're at for the opposition, I would rather just continue to support Ken Martin then. And then if somebody else pops up, but I don't think it can be like we're going to throw Ken Martin under the bus and then we're going to desperately search.
Ben Wickler is a really good choice, but the problem is that Ben and Ken are very good friends, and I don't know if he will run because of that. But he did come second against Ken Martin, and everybody. I honestly supported Ken Martin over Ben in the beginning because of Ken's track record, and because Ben's got a fantastic track record too. But I just thought that like Ken would get us to where we needed to be faster, and I think that was now the wrong decision looking back on it. And Ben definitely was a better choice.
Has Ben Wickler, so I think I talked to this guy and not Ken Martin, so I like Wickler more than Martin. No, but has Wickler himself said that he wants to take over Ken Martin's position, or? He
doesn't want it because they're friends. He doesn't want to do that. But again, I don't think this is where I really want like people to understand, like, do you love our country more than like your personal fucking friendships? Like to me, it like is like a no-brainer.
Have you tried emailing Wickler to get an audience with him?
Yeah, I'm actually. One of my big donors is actually trying to set up a meeting with us in a couple weeks.
Okay, so if even he's not responsive to it, he's not even I don't even know what his current political job is. Why do you think he'd be any better at the head of the DNC for this?
Well, I'm not. Well, the thing is, I'm not sure where his head is at. Like, this is just what he said publicly, right? That's why I want to have a conversation with him and find out where his head is at.
What if he said? Really? What if he said, "I fully support Ken Martin"? Would you change your mind?
Yeah, I'd change my mind because I think that's not a good idea. Yeah, who do you think it should be?
Wait. Oh, when you say you change your mind, you didn't mean you change your mind on supporting Ken Martin. You mean you change your mind on supporting Wickler.
On Wickler.
Yeah. Well, but what if he told you I'm all in on Ken Martin? He's our guy. That wouldn't impact you in any way.
I would need to have evidence for why Ken is moving the party in the right direction, and right now there is no evidence to support that.
Well, again, I think we're not on the inside. We don't know all what's going on, and we don't know all the details, right? So we have to trust people that we look up to and we respect.
I consider myself to be on the inside because I talk to delegates.
You don't even have a name for somebody who would be like, who should replace Ken Martin. That's even worse.
Well, and again, this is a big part of the problem because we don't have operatives that we've invested in. So there's very few people available. And that's why I'm very, very worried. My biggest fear right now is that we're going to put the DNC chair in the hands of Foz. And I'm telling you right now that if that happens, that we're going to end up with a Hassan-style party and we're going to fucking lose.
Okay,
then it sounds like we should just support Ken Martin.
Yeah, that seems like a real possibility, Zee. I think
that the reason why we're in this situation to begin with is because of Ken Martin.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We have a tanky that's able to like climb up the ranks like that if Ken Martin wasn't failing.
But we're in this situation.
Wait. What could Ken Martin have done to stop Hassan from getting popular?
No, I don't listen. I think Ken Martin's probably like supported Hassan too. I don't know what like his position is on that, but
I wouldn't blame
I
him.
haven't.
Hassan's got 40,000 people watching him or whatever. He's the biggest streamer on the left. Of course they're going to try to win him over and think he's doing something right.
It's not going to help us win elections. You think having somebody like Hassan is a good fucking idea, like out here in like Nevada or Arizona or any of these like swing states?
Well,
they think Hassan is fucking crazy out here.
You made a good point. You said we could end up with this guy, Faiz, I think his name is. And so why would you even play with that? Why would you even risk that if you think that is a possible outcome?
Right now, Ken Martin is out. There is not a scenario. Mark my words. Ken Martin in the next 2 months, probably even shorter than that, is not going to be in that position anymore. Either he's going to step down himself, which I think is probably likely, or he's going to get ousted out. But either way, we need to start talking about 5 steps ahead of what happens next.
If that's true, why would Ro Khanna and Van Hollen go on the Sunday morning shows, meet the press and face the nation and say, I'm behind him? Why in the world would they do that?
Because I think that they just want to. I think they have a good relationship with Ken Martin, of course.
But he's going to be gone soon. And
why do you think Ben Wickler is doing the same thing?
Well, but if he's going to be gone soon, who cares? You cut him loose, right? You go with the public.
First of all, I think a lot of these people don't have the type of like democratic insider knowledge that, I think elected officials are very disconnected from what's happening within the delegation. That is true. I don't know. First of all, I don't even know when he said that because a lot has changed in the last week, especially since they released the autopsy report. So I don't know if it was after that or not.
This was after the autopsy report. They were being asked by that. They were asked to respond to that.
I think that's really dumb.
This is 3 days ago. Really you can look it up. It's towards the end of both of their interviews, and they both strongly said no. They didn't make a great case for him, but they said no. We don't change right now. The midterms are close, and that's it. So now you're saying that they don't have a close relationship with the delegates? I find that.
I mean, the thing is, why do you think that people publicly supported Biden even when they knew that he was going to drop out?
Who publicly supported Biden? What?
A lot of people were publicly supporting. What do you mean? There were so many people.
No, our party was tearing itself apart. You're completely wrong. AOC was literally getting on TikTok begging people.
AOC is your example, bro.
AOC was begging people to support Biden because the whole party was tearing itself apart.
Dude, I'm telling you, like most people up until the very last minute that Biden dropped out were saying that he should stay in the race.
This is a Republican talking point. I'm sorry, this is just not even remotely true. There was so much pushback after that debate performance, especially from every corner of the media. But this is why people hated Biden so much too. And why it took fucking Obama calling him to say, "Hey, you probably got to fucking leave, bro." Everybody was
at the very last minute, right?
At the what?
At the last minute, that's when Obama made the call and was like, you should probably fucking go, bro. Like,
yeah, but there were a ton of other people that were pushing both in the party and in the media that were saying it was a catastrophic performance.
You don't think that people are pushing Ken Martin right now out? You don't think that there's, again, I don't see any evidence from previous DNC chairs, no matter how bad they were, which arguably, I mean, Jamie Harrison was horrible. There was no type of public backlash like there has been with Ken Martin. There's a reason for that. There is no
public backlash with Ken Martin. The only people talking about it are the tankies.
Look it up online.
The main people talking about this are, ironically enough, the other people that I pointed to who were able to create their little media apparatus that doesn't involve an RNC or DNC. It's the tankies. It's the MLs. The people who are the most obsessed with that autopsy were people who are like...
Podstave are not tankies, bro. I'm sorry.
Podstave are by tanky logic. I'm sorry if you don't see that, but the only reason they cared about that autopsy is because they wanted to come all over Israel-Palestine. That's literally the only fucking reason. That's 100%. Well,
I think a lot of people wanted to do that.
Nah, it was only the tankies. It was the far left. And they have you convinced that it was everybody that wanted to do it.
No,
you think that people in Michigan, you think that people outside of El Sayed's crowd, you think that people in swing states are like, in Pennsylvania, like, we gotta have the DNC autopsy. We're so concerned about the DNC. Half these fucking voters, 90% of voters don't know what the DNC is.
They don't. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. But my question is, okay, knowing that the chance that Ken Martin is probably not going to survive his term, would you rather have somebody like Foz in there, or would you rather start looking for an alternative?
I don't know why I would want Ken Martin to leave. I would just want Ken Martin to stay.
Okay, but if that's not an option, what is the alternative?
Whoever Ken Martin points out.
Or would you rather find somebody else?
I guess whoever else is a moderate Dem that wants to continue building the Democratic Party, I guess. I don't know.
Problem is that the moderate Dems, we have a steep hill to climb right now, because the thing is that I think that for us as moderate Democrats, we have to start being honest with the situation that's in front of us. And the more that we're not honest about it, the more that we're going to push people away from our side. That's just how I feel about it. And then you're going to get a person that's like, well, you don't want a moderate Democrat anymore. We're going to need to have a tanky. We're going to need to have somebody like Foz in there that's going to fucking go around the country with somebody like Hassan.
Sure. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. Do I need to email Wickler or whatever and tell people that?
Yes, yes. That's what honestly, you got somebody like you, Destiny. You have such a massive platform, and you should have a lot more pull in the Democratic space. You should be reaching out to people like Ben Wickler right now and starting to create that relationship. And
I don't think that I'm going to be the spawn of new media for the Democratic Party right now, with how split and divided and everything is at the moment. I think you'd have a much better chance.
I mean, listen, I don't think you're carrying it on your own, but like, I think like between people like you and Mockler and Beasley and all of these guys, like you guys should be leading the fucking moderate left right now.
Yeah, but there is no, none. I don't even know for those people, God bless them, are capable of even saying no to the super tanky crowd. I don't even know if that's possible.
You don't think Adam Mockler is going to say no to the super tanky crowd? Please.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
There will be no hate of Adam Mockler in here.
I'm not hating Adam Mockler, but you yourself believe in the whole Bernie was robbed of his fucking thing because every single moderate Dem didn't stand and run against him in 2020. And I remember arguing against your type back then, and they were like, the only way Bernie could lose is if all three Democrats combine into a single mutated figure. And guess what? All of them dropped out. Bernie got crushed.
Listen, I don't know what would have happened with Bernie. I don't know. What I do know is that I'm almost sure he would have beat Trump, because the polls told us that, but I don't know, because it didn't
an untested candidate on the federal level that Trump himself was building up was polling favorably against Trump. You don't say.
I also, by the way, would have been happy.
You want to know who was polling even better against Trump? It was like unnamed Democratic shadow figure. Like if you just put like a no-name Democrat with position.
I would have been happy with anybody that could have beat Trump. I would have been happy with anybody that could have been Trump. It didn't have to be Bernie. I would have been happy with anybody that was going to beat Trump.
Sure, but
we just all knew that Biden was fucking struggling. I don't understand why we pick a struggling candidate when we had. You
don't understand why we picked the incumbent?
Huh?
You don't understand why we stayed with our incumbent?
When he literally can't even form a sentence on the debate stage? No, I don't. I love Joe Biden. I would argue.
That was after the debate. Biden got more votes than any president in all of U.S. history.
Okay, I would argue that I'm a lover of Biden more than both of you guys combined. I think that Biden was one of the best presidents that we ever had. I don't think he should have run for a second term.
That's fine, but I'm just saying that you're delusional if you think that's an easy call to make. That is a.
I'm not saying it's an easy call to make, but I'm saying that we need to be able to have these strategy information sessions where we can make these decisions in a way that is not just, oh, well, he's the incumbent, so I guess we got to. No, I mean, Biden was already struggling. He arguably, honestly, we don't even know how long this guy had cancer. And to be perfectly frank with you, I don't even think Biden wanted to run again. I don't even think that Biden wanted to run to begin with.
Biden absolutely wanted to run again. And I think it was probably, as much as I do love Biden, the meanest thing I'll ever say about him is probably Biden's personal feelings is what kept him in longer than he probably should have been.
Well, I think at that point it was too late, right? But I think that if he had an easy ramp out earlier, then maybe he would have taken that.
How could there possibly be an easy ramp out for an incumbent president who got the most vote? There was no easy ramp out ever. That was hard. You always run your incumbent.
Well, we're not going to know because obviously the primary didn't play out. It didn't play out. So, I mean, we're not going to know. But either way,
the benefit of you guys, but it also doesn't matter because when the primary does play out, they say that it's rigged. Or when they win the primaries and then they have their elections, your Nina Turners, they say that AIPAC funding helped the other side. Or when they run against a Republican, they say that they lost because the Democrats didn't support them. Like, there's always.
You definitely should have won Foz then. So you definitely should have won Foz.
So, for which. But Zee, you acknowledge, to take it back to the DNC.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Foz, hold on. Is this the guy that won in the D+40, the bluest district in the entirety of all of the United States of America? The only one that, like a fucking progressive,
he ran during his 2020 campaign.
Sure, I understand, but when you say we should have won him, is that the guy who won that seat, or what? What do you mean we should have won him?
No. He is one of the people that are floating for the DNC chair.
Well, is he even seriously being floated?
Yes, he's seriously being floated.
Okay. Seriously. The Bulwark article that you linked didn't say that. I don't know if maybe there are people, but
sure. Look it up. There are conversations already happening behind the scenes. The Pod Save America guys themselves came out and said that they would support him. Why are they
they're
saying
tanky
that?
dick sucks because they're losers. Is this Fives guy? Is this the same guy?
The Pod Save guys?
Is this the guy? Is this guy?
Are,
They are. I'm sorry. They're fucking losers. Have me on. I'll argue with any one of them.
They're not losers. I just don't think that they're tankies. But
no, they're not tanky. I didn't say they were tankies. I said they were tanky dick sucks. Tanky dick sucks is when they suck tanky dick because don't have the spine to stand up any further left of them.
They just suck Hassan's dick. Be specific.
Is the Faiz guy? Is this the guy that fucking ran an election? That I'm just trying to picture this guy. Is this the guy that AOC said that she wouldn't support and everybody got super critical of her for this? Is this the one I'm thinking of? Or
no, he hasn't run. He's never run for like a seat.
Who's this? Who's this?
Oh, you're talking about,
oh, that's Psychit. That's Psychit. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. Chakrabarty.
But D,
that's.
I want to go back to this point that you say there's a good chance that guy wins. And so why risk that? You say, well, now's the time to get behind someone else, but there is no one else. And you acknowledge the likelihood of that is very slim. So the likelihood of this other guy taking over that sucks is much higher. So why even risk it? Why not get behind Martin?
Because right now, let me just situationalize us right now. Right now, we're like the day or two after the debate with Biden. Okay. The chance of Biden staying in is very fucking low, okay? So like we can all jump on the fucking Biden train and we can try to ride that home, but I'm telling you right now that that's probably not going to happen. And then we're going to be in a situation where we're going to have a tanky that's running the DNC. And that is what I'm actively trying to tell people, that cannot fucking happen.
How do you
then
prevent
you
that?
An alternative. You need an alternative then.
Yeah, how do you prevent that?
Yes, we do. That's what I'm saying. We need an alternative right now. We need to start looking for people right now
but you don't
that
have
can put
it.
up a fight.
You don't have
We're
it.
going to have to find them. We're going to have to find them.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You need to join Destiny and I and become Ken Martin stands now. That's the only solution.
Ken Martin's already on the way out.
You have a fantasy generic DNC chair candidate that doesn't exist, and you acknowledge the most likely outcome is Hassan's favorite guy taking over.
They floated a couple of names that, I mean,
who is they? I don't know if anybody is seriously even who
like the ex-president of Emily's List. They floated one of the big union.
No, who's they? Who is floating? Who's floating these names? Like, is there like a ballot coming up for the DNC or something?
No, these are just people that they're talking to insiders. So like the Bulwark just like released an article like 2 days ago about like names that are getting floated around.
But what? Here, let me ask you this.
Are you talking about this drama inside the DNC article?
I think it's that one, yeah.
What?
I think I sent it to you. Did I not?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What are the chances of them coming up with some novel way to oust him, like they did with David Hogg? In your opinion, what are do you think it's like they're gonna find a way? 100%.
I don't know, because I don't know how strong Ken is set in staying right now, and there's no way that we would know that unless we're.
Okay, but what do you think?
I mean, only he would know that.
So you can't.
Also, hold on, wait. I'm sorry, real quick. In this Bulwark article, it literally said that the idea for these insiders to push out Ken Martin was put on hold because they couldn't identify.
Because they can't identify, right?
No, because they can't identify any alternate candidate. Where's this idea that Faiz guy or whatever the fuck, or Shakir, this guy is?
Look it up on. I mean, people have been floating around his name a lot. Even an NBC anchor just talked about it like a couple days ago.
I don't think this is. I don't think he's being seriously considered. I don't think this is a serious
the
consideration.
Pod Save guys. There's a lot of. Okay.
The Pod Save guys are probably fucking Che Guevara's great grandson. If he was discovered in the U.S., they would support this guy.
He's gonna run. I'm almost sure he'll run.
Wait, run? Or are you talking about run or ousting Ken Martin? Because
no, well, he can't oust Ken. The only people that would be able to do that are insiders of the current party, which, I mean, they would, my guess is that they're smart enough that they're looking for somebody to have some type of good chance of a replacement, right? I don't think that they would just do it with no plan.
I don't think there is a plan. I don't think anybody's talking about this. I think there were some people who were just grumbling, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we've found on chat. So it said that when I put in, like, is Foz going to run for DNC chair? They said there's already a lot of speculation that he could if Ken Martin's position collapses further. There's no public announcement, but he did run for DNC chair in early 2025 as a late entry progressive candidate backed by parts of the Bernie Sanders wing of the party. Now that Ken is facing backlash on the autopsy, there's more consideration of him being the replacement or the future contender.
I don't know who I don't know who that is. I don't know who you're talking about. As I'm reading this article, still, Martin has his defenders. Although the DNC did not provide a comment for this newsletter, Michael Kapp, a California-based DNC member, told me that people were upset with Martin because he's shifting the party away from a consultant-centered model and toward one that is more centered on state parties and organizers, and that was always going to create friction. That's a named person. Are there any named people like that are attacking him, or is it just the unnamed shadowy people?
Anderson Clayton has, and there's a lot of.
Wait. Anderson Clayton, what am I looking for here? DNC
North
chair.
Carolina chair. She's a North Carolina chair.
And she said that Ken Martin needs to step down.
I believe she's said that public. Well, I don't know. She just made a whole deal about like the autopsy. I'm not sure if she's like publicly said that he needs to step down, but she's heading in that direction.
Okay, I'll try to find her.
But remember that there's not a lot of incentives for people to be public with these things without like a plan first, right?
That's fine, but then you can't say that people are talking about him stepping down. It seems that's not the case. There might be whispers, but there's no serious plan right now for Ken Martin to step down. That's just not even
not this second. But I'm saying that is the direction that we're heading in. That's the direction we're heading in. So we need to be 5 steps ahead so that we can make sure that a crazy tanky person doesn't end up in leading the DNC.
But don't you think that's going to make Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen look very bad if they came out 3 days ago on the Sunday morning shows and said he should stay?
In the same way that people looked bad after they said that Biden should stay. I don't think anybody's going to like remember and be like, oh my God, Ro Khanna said this. And I don't think they like people
I just don't think. I don't think those guys are putting themselves out there like that if there's even a chance and there's grumbling. And you say they're not in on the inside, but I think those guys are super plugged into what's going on. Obviously, they're not delegates and they're not going to the meetings, but come on. This is like 2 of our biggest names in the Democratic Party. And of course they know what's going on. They have their finger on the polls. Huh?
Why do you think that there's so much press out there about Ken Martin right now?
Because it sells.
Because the far left has a too tight a hold on our media apparatus, and they're pushing it. Because they wanted to see the Gaza shit in the autopsy. They were fucking obsessed with it, and the Pod Save people were obsessed with it. The Majority Report people were obsessed with it. I'm sure there are other far left.
I think the Pod Save guys are the same as the Majority Report, but
see, it gets clicks.
They were all pushing the exact same talking points. Who else?
I don't think that the Pod Save guys were thinking that it was going to be about like Gaza, Palestine. I think that they were just like, we need to have a plan.
Did he not explicitly bring that up? The John fucking retard guy? Did he not explicitly bring that up to Ken Martin, or am I making that up? The guy who comes in the same gym as fucking Hassan does, where they all slide around in it all fucking day before they decide we're going to jerk each other off.
I know that he loves. I mean, I don't know if he brought that up specifically, but I don't.
Did he not specifically bring that up as part of the autopsy? I feel like they did in that interview. If I look it up, I remember him specifically saying, "Ken Martin, I think people really want to talk about blown up Palestinian babies, and that's why you guys don't want to talk relations."
I don't think that was his angle. I think that his angle was not.
John Favreau tweeted May 7th, 2026. DNC autopsy is gobbledygook that doesn't include Gaza impact per people who've seen it.
But the thing is,
by the way, which is exactly what Ken Martin said that was going to happen, was they were just leaving their one pet issue.
Listen, at the end of the day, you cannot deny that autopsy was fucking fumbled in the worst possible way.
It was fumbled, sure, yeah.
And there was a way for him for that to not happen.
Yeah, he fucked that up 100%.
Yeah. And I think even that up until like a week ago.
This idea that a liberal doesn't do everything fucking perfectly, so we're gonna bring the shark in.
Perfectly, he's not doing anything that's helping move the party in the direction.
The burden is on you to establish that you've done nothing for that. The results all disagree with you. His historic efforts to invest in states, you say they're not enough, but you don't even have an alternative candidate that you can suggest. You don't even have an alternative model that we can point to.
Well, I did. I showed you my alternative model that we could point to. You just don't like it.
It doesn't exist right now.
Well, that's what we need to build. Like, I just don't understand.
I'm not going to fault Ken Martin for not building a hypothetical model that's never existed before in the 16 months he's been the chair of the DNC. I don't think that's fair, especially when all the pressure to push him out is coming from tankies that were unhappy that Israel-Palestine was not listed 400 pages.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Because why?
But
it's coming from people like me.
I'm trying to look at Anderson Clayton. I don't see any comments from her about him needing to step down or that Ken Martin has to go. I don't know if I've heard this from anybody besides the tankies. Who find one name? It's always unnamed whispers, unnamed people, the people in the shadows. The Horcruxes of Bernie Sanders are saying that he needs to step down. Like, do you think I'm a tanky? I don't know, but maybe you're watching a lot of tanky media. Just goes to show how
I'm
strong the
not.
media is.
We think I like fucking jerk off to the fucking Majority Report? I haven't watched the Majority Report in like 10 years.
Then I'm trying to find out, where are you getting this information that all these people are saying that Ken Martin needs to
The
step down?
insiders that I know personally.
Well, they must not feel that strongly about their opinions. They're not willing to put their name to any of it. And people who are defending Ken Martin are willing to stick their name to it. So I'm going to take their opinions way more seriously than the shadowy cabal.
Listen,
some of the biggest names in our party too.
Well, again, you think that like, I guess we disagree on like who big names are, but there are plenty of big names too that are saying that it's not.
You were the one that you were pushing David Hogg. Didn't he leave? Didn't he get kicked out because nobody
I
liked
wasn't
him?
even pushing David Hogg. I don't want David Hogg to David Hogg is
No, I'm saying that you brought him up multiple times as a critic of Ken Martin. That guy wanted a primary. He was so horny to primary Democrats. He eventually got kicked out of his own DNC position. I don't think people liked him at all.
Yeah, but like Malcolm Kenyatta wasn't, and he was like
Okay, I'm going to look up Malcolm Kenyatta. So right now, this person is saying that Ken Martin needs to step down?
I believe he said it publicly at this point. He's made it like very, very obvious that he doesn't like what's going on. The thing is too, is like, you have to be like aware that we're playing politics here. Like, just because like, you have to like look at people's commentary and what they're putting out. They're not going to necessarily be like, oh, I think Ken Martin should step down, because that could risk their position too.
Well,
especially if that's not clear.
Wouldn't it be advantageous for a vice chair to try to push him out? And this is a chance for him to become the chair too?
Not necessarily, because just because you're a vice chair doesn't mean that you're automatically like in a good position to become chair.
Best chance you've had though, ever, if that happens, no?
It just depends on your it depends on your delegate relationships.
Well,
some of them have strong delegate relationships.
I hate to team up with you here, but you wanted the 2v1, Z, and I'm with Destiny that there are gigantic voices out there saying he should stay. And when Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen say that on a Sunday morning show on Meet the Press, I think it's over. And you say it's done. He's going. I'm telling you, as far as I can tell, he ain't going nowhere. Like, you're not going to slap Ro Khanna and Van Hollen in the face like that and be like, no, actually, we're going to get rid of him, so you two don't have any say.
Why do you think that there are other people that are public Democratic figures that are saying the opposite of that?
Public figures like Mark Pocan.
I told you, like Seth Moulton.
These are nobody. Seth Moulton is an opportunist weirdo.
These are elected officials in the Democratic Party.
Seth Moulton was like the 20th guy to run for president in 2020.
Randy Weingarten too, who's like one of the leading like union people in the entire party. So influential. Even he said it.
Wait, Randy Weingarten, the woman who runs the second largest teachers union or whatever?
The teacher, I believe they run was it the teachers union?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think it's a woman. See? So I'm just saying, like, these are nobodies. Mark Pocan he's okay, but he's nobody. He's nothing.
What do you mean? How do you define who is a somebody versus a nobody?
I think there's always an opportunity to get your voice out there and get some attention.
Is one of the biggest labor and education power brokers in Democratic politics.
Yes.
It literally says that if you Google it. So how is that
I don't disagree.
Nobody?
Well, I don't disagree, but there's always people.
Her versus Ro Khanna, who do you think is making more?
No, she's nowhere near as powerful as Ro Khanna and Senator Van Hollen. I'm sorry. Did she go get margaritas?
Wait. Are we talking about Randy Weingarten?
Yeah.
Yes.
This guy quit the DNC with a dispute with Ken Martin.
No.
No.
Randy Weingarten, she's the American Federation of Teachers.
Yeah. I see in June of last year, 2 top union leaders quit DNC post in dispute with chairman.
Oh, so
Randy Weingarten, head of one of the nation's most influential teachers unions, and Lee Sanders, the president of a large union of public workers, each pointed to Ken Martin's leadership. If they both left, doesn't that imply that Ken Martin had more support in the DNC than them, if they were the ones that quit? Isn't that the same thing you could say with the Hogg battle as well, where Martin and Hogg were fighting pretty brutally inside, and then Hogg also left? So it seems like Martin does have support in the DNC.
Well, yeah, but Hogg doesn't have any. He didn't have any institutional. Well, that's fine,
but you brought
he was literally arguing with like James.
Hogg's not relevant, but I'm saying Weingarten and another friend apparently, and Saunders, both seem to quit the DNC over Ken Martin. It seems like they didn't have the support inside the DNC either to kick him out. No,
they didn't. They weren't. Who were they running? They weren't running anybody. I don't remember Randy running anybody.
were they DNC delegates, or did they have official positions in the DNC? Or
No, but they're power brokers in the Democratic Party. Like, these are people that are very influential in the Democratic Party.
then why did they leave instead of getting Ken Martin to step down?
I don't think that they would. Well, first of all, at that point, had Ken Martin even done? He hadn't even done anything yet, right?
Well, if she fucking hated him before Ken Martin even did anything, then it seems like I wouldn't take this person's opinion very seriously.
I mean, I would take her opinion seriously when she's like helping us get union endorsements that are going to help us like push votes.
I don't even think fucking we had the union endorsements for 2025. What the fuck? What is this person fucking doing?
Didn't the fucking
Teamsters backstab us after Biden?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So
fuck. Sounds like this person's not doing a good job. Sounds like they need to go.
She is a certified hater. She left last year. She resigned. So of course she's going to come out and blast Ken Martin. But
and she was on Hogg's side in that fight. So it seems like that was one of the reasons why she might have quit as well.
My point is never let an opportunity go. And if Ken Martin is getting some heat and you can get some attention by being a voice that speaks up, hey, I think he should go and get on TV, then so there's going to be people out there who do that. That's kind of my point.
I mean, the whole point here is that I think that we're all in agreement that we're not set up for a strong 2028 right now.
No, I disagree.
I don't know if that's true. I think 2020. I think the incoming election, assuming we fucking have one, is of vital importance.
Well, that's another point, though. What is the DNC and what is Ken Martin doing to make sure that we have free and fair elections too? Because now,
he was traveling to states. He was literally going to states and making announcements about he just did over the Calais decision or whatever. That's one of the only fucking things I know about this guy was that he was sounding the alarm on it, but I mean, I don't know what he can do. It's not like you don't stand a Supreme Court justice. It's not like
there are lawyers out there like democracy defenders that are already working towards like making sure that like AI doesn't fucking take over and just destroy our elections.
That's fine, but all the lawyers lost at the Supreme Court when it came time to rolling back the Voting Rights Act, and the lawyers didn't help in Virginia when the Supreme Court said they weren't even going to hear.
So you're against like all fucking lawyers now? Like, what?
I'm not saying I'm against all fucking lawyers, but you're making it sound like Ken Martin can find the RoboCop lawyer to fight the Supreme Court on redistricting.
No, but I think that we can be building out the infrastructure to make sure that these organizations have the support that they need and they're connected to the DNC, right? Like that's, to me, that matters a lot.
The DNC connects the infrastructure. They connect the infrastructure. They don't build it. They connect it.
Yes, they connect it, and he's not doing that because he can't even return a fucking call or text.
There's not infrastructure out there for him to build. He's working with what he can, but there's no DNC that's going to build.
Working with what he can. It sounds weak. It's giving
and yet not even an insider like yourself can suggest a single alternative to him that seems willing to run, and everybody that seems to try to butt heads with Martin gets ejected from the DNC because it seems like they don't have any ideas either. So it doesn't seem like there's a better alternative right now. It seems like the answers to the problems the Democratic Party have are probably found outside the DNC, not within the DNC, and not the DNC leadership.
And it sounds like, Z, you are playing into the hands of Hassan, and you are going to lead to this Shakir guy becoming the next DNC president, and then you're going to be really sad when that happens.
You want him to become the DNC chair. You are the tank.
You are playing into this, and you're falling victim. You're helping them.
I'm sounding the alarm that it is very likely that this is going to happen if we don't start working towards a plan to make sure it doesn't happen. That's my fear. Because this guy completely, I mean, this is not a guy that you want running the DNC. I'm telling you right now. This could be very, very bad for the future of the party.
Well, so we've got a guy now that's doing a decent job. You disagree, but he's not doing a job like that guy would do. So why not just get behind him instead of this mythical character that doesn't exist to take over the DNC? I
don't think that there's any chance that he's staying.
Okay, but I don't. Again,
he has to stay. I'm making him stay. I'm ride or die.
Yeah. I'm going to write him an email after this.
You're not walking away from this debate saying you're ride or die, Ken Martin.
I'm ride or die, Ken Martin. I'm ride or die. You know why I'm ride or die? You know why I'm ride or die, Martin? Because now I'm remembering more as I reread articles. I'm trying to remember more this insane fighting that David fucking Cockhog started when Martin just takes over. That's fine, but this is the same type of rhetoric. As soon as Martin gets in, he's out here saying, we gotta fucking run, we gotta primary all these fucking Democrats, we gotta oust all these people. And that same person that you just brought up as somebody who's really influential, that Randy fucking destroyed the Democratic Party or Garden, whoever this person's name is. David
Hogg's argument was fucking dumb as shit because
that's fine, but I'm just saying that it's been like
his argument was that we need to get more young people into office.
That's fine. I'm just saying that
he spent $1 million on a primary in the bluest part of Arizona against a Bernie-backed candidate.
Yeah, but that girl was hot.
Let's do like 4 years. Let's try 4 years, and then we'll go from there. It can't be Keir Starmer, Labour government, first time after 13 fucking years of country. He's got to be out of here. He didn't fix everything immediately. Ken Martin in the DNC chair for 60 months. Oh, he didn't fix everything. Get him out of here. Right? Democrats didn't fix the whole country for us. It can't constantly be this whirlwind of crazy insanity.
It wasn't like that before.
What do you mean it wasn't like that before?
Was it like that? Was it like that with Jamie Harrison? Was it like that with any of these other previous DNC chairs? I don't remember that.
No, because we had a president, Biden, so we had some Democratic leadership to look towards. But in these off-season cycles, it can't
not
be.
Not even Tom Perez.
Listen, if an alternative to Ken Martin steps up, I think we can give him a serious consideration. But it can't be the shadow boxing right now. This is.
Do you want the tankies to take over the Democratic Party? Yes or fucking no?
No.
Okay, well then you should start fucking looking for somebody right now to make sure that doesn't
You're giving a false dichotomy. I will support Ken Martin. That's the obvious choice. Ken Martin's probably not going anywhere. I don't think
and then when Ken Martin's gone, then what the fuck are you going to do?
You don't even have a single reputable delegate name who's willing to put himself saying that Ken Martin should leave. All the other ones that butted heads with in the past are fucking gone. So give me a DNC delegate, not a.
The only person that butted heads with him was just David Hogg, but David Hogg didn't have power in the party even to begin with.
That's fine, but he was somebody at the DNC, was he not? He
was arguing with James Carville, bro. Like, that guy's not, like...
That's fine, but a person whose opinion you're citing that we should take seriously, Randy Weingarten, was on Hogg's side, and she's gone now.
Well,
I'm saying there are no delegates. Are there any serious DNC delegates or any serious DNC members who are saying Martin needs to go?
Or electeds?
Yes,
no.
somebody told you.
No, these are not.
DNC delegates, DNC members, DNC delegate people in the DNC. I don't think these people are here. And as long as they're not, I'll just support Ken Martin. I continue to support him. And listen, if he's fucking up so horribly, whatever he's doing to fuck up right now, that's like giving us historic election wins, historic fundraising activity. Whatever he's doing, yeah, the results are good. You're the one that's trying to argue that the good results have nothing to do with Ken Martin's leadership. Listen, however he's fucking up right now, I'm okay with it because we're winning everything. So fuck it, let's just continue on that path.
Yeah, let's just keep doing that until 2028 and we get fucking again. That's a great idea.
We don't even know if an alternative candidate steps up. Right now, there's no reason to think that we'll get destroyed in 2028. It seems like we're on a path to win big this time. I don't know why we wouldn't win 2028.
I want the centrists to actually fucking win and take direction of the party in the right direction. That's what I want. I'm desperate for that to happen. I do not want the tankies to take over. That is why I'm here sounding the alarm now.
Okay, we are desperately then on the lookout for an alternative to Ken Martin if they step up, and then we will seriously consider their positions if they show up.
And you should be reaching out to people you think could be influential, because Mark Pocan and Seth Moulton aren't going to do it. They're not gonna move the needle. These two guys, as much as they're decent guys, but they're nobodies.
But the thing is that like that's why I'm trying to reach out to like my donor network to get a meeting with Ben, because I desperately want somebody to be doing that. If it ends up that we have somebody like Foz if Ken Martin's out and somebody like Foz is running and they're the front runner, then I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do. I'll step up and fucking run.
Right now, there's no indication that this Foz dude would run, and right now there's no indication that Ken Martin is stepping down. So I don't even know what this is, like a hypothetical world that you're considering right now.
I mean, as an operative, isn't it our job to be thinking ahead of what is to come? Like, is that not our job?
It's not the job to sabotage the current leadership for a hypothetical without
even sabotaged himself, bro. It's already over. He's already sabotaged. What, you think because
there's no indication that
I said something, I'm sabotaging him? No. The New York Times just released an article 5 days ago saying that this is sabotaged.
Because they're unhappy with the autopsy? An out-of-cycle report that's not even relevant?
Was a big fumble that Ken Martin could have just there was an alternative for him to be able to not for that. He could have fucked that up and he could have turned it around, and he didn't.
How could he have possibly turned that? How could he have possibly turned the autopsy?
Literally, I would have just come out and I would have been like, listen, I fucked up. I'm so like I hired somebody. I thought that they were going to do a good job. They fucked me over. That happens with consultants all the time. Like
it absolutely does not happen that leadership comes up and says, "I hired the wrong guy for the job and it's completely fucked up." That is not.
Yeah, and now I'm going to hire somebody that's going to give us a really good autopsy, and I'm going to get it to you in a week.
Good autopsy of the 2024 election. That's 2 years out of fucking. Who the fuck cares? What happened 2 years ago?
He should have been doing this right as he got elected, but he didn't, which which is why
He did.
people
He
were
hired
like,
a bad guy to do it, and it sucked.
dude,
Now
not only did he hire a bad guy to do it, okay? I want you to understand this. Not only did he hire a bad guy to do it, but they had a private donor retreat, okay, with their big Democratic donors. And the report was personally presented to them by this guy. After he fucking knew how bad the report was, he still stood up this guy in front of his major donors and did a presentation, okay? That is dumb as shit. I literally don't know like how anybody could possibly defend that.
No.
I just want to say the Republican Party had high spirits after Donald Trump got crushed in 2020, lost all 64 of their court cases, got 34 felony convictions, all of that, and their spirits were so high that we're going to run the same goddamn motherfucker again. And here we are, historic fundraising, historic special election turnout, and victories, and then gearing up, like teeing up for the most insane midterms ever, and we're like scrambling to fire our DNC head to get rid of him because of some fucking retarded autopsy report.
No, because you're not looking at it the way
it's crazy
because we're down in voter registration. We haven't turned that around. We're putting our money into fucking stupid ass shit, and yeah, that's a problem that we need to address before we get to 2028.
Well,
obviously.
I got two more names for you that are pro Ken Martin. 5 days ago, Nancy Pelosi, the queen herself, and
oh yeah, that's a good one.
And Ilhan Omar. So he's got a broad, he's got across the spectrum from one side to the other. Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi in agreement. Ken should stay.
Well, I'm already telling you. I think
your inside operatives are fucking with you, Z. I'm telling you. I think that they're giving you bad info, man.
What if you took the mask off him and you found out that it was the Fies guy? He's the insider, and he's trying to get you. He's planting the seeds in your brain.
He's fucking with
to get Ken Martin out.
You've got a weak spot in you, Z. You've got a little bit of a spot they can exploit with your Bernie sympathy and your thoughts on he got screwed. They're using you. They're tapping into your little weakness there.
I care very deeply about making sure that the Democratic Party is the best party that it can be, and I think that we are fumbling. That's just what I think.
Well, Nancy Pelosi and Ilhan Omar disagree with you.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is fucking gone. So what who cares about what she has?
But okay, a lot of people respect her. Ilhan Omar, super progressive.
Ilhan Omar, I mean, I'm not a super progressive.
I'm just saying that it's a wide variety of people that are big names compared, and then on your side you've got Mark fucking Pocan and Seth Moulton, who came in 20th place out of 20 in the 2020 Dem primaries.
Listen, all I'm saying is that if you don't want the tankies to take over, you're going to have to come up with a plan, because I'm telling you.
Yeah, we got one. We got one. Back Ken Martin. I'm glad Destiny's been convinced over this 2-hour debate to join me. Destiny, I look forward to your 10-minute video that you put out saying don't quit now.
Hell. Yeah.
Backfire. No, listen, Z, you have brought up some great points, and obviously I respect your inside knowledge, and you have a lot of experience in this stuff, and when you're alarmed, I'm alarmed, and so I do appreciate you giving your argument, and it's given me plenty to think about. I can't say that it's moved me, but it's inspired me to look more into some of the stuff you've talked about, and to think a little differently about it. So I can honestly
I just don't want us to fumble this. That is my biggest concern right now, because historically we don't think ahead of what's going to happen, and then we end up in these situations, right? Like, I really just want us to like really think about like what we're going to do if that happens. And likely when that happens, because again, when you have this much turmoil over the leader of the Democratic Party, something's going to happen. Something's going to have to happen, right?
Well, the actual answer to this is that Ken Martin needs to be there for 4 years. He needs to run the programs the way that he wants to see if he can deliver on it in 4 years. And then at the end of that 4 years, people give their input on how they want to see the direction change if they can. It's not replacing.
We don't have the luxury of that. We don't have the luxury of taking 4 years.
What you're talking about is the luxury position of ousting a guy with absolutely no replacement in mind, with no concrete plan in mind, because we're unhappy with hypothetical people that might hypothetically come after a hypothetical election. That's an insane position to take.
It's even worse.
There has to be with no alternative in mind. That's
I would like Ben Wickler, but I just don't know.
Right.
Wickler is not on board with it though. So
it's even worse. The most likely outcome is this Faiz guy, who then empowers Hassan to run the DNC. So it's horrific what is most likely to happen right now.
I'm listen. can we revisit this
let's
conversation
reconvene.
after it
If Ken
happens?
Martin gets ousted from the leadership, then we will reconvene. We'll figure out what we can do to cut off that FIE's guy's ISP so he can't log on to the internet anymore and find his meetings to go to his DNC elections, okay? That's what we'll do next, all right?
Listen, I just think that I think we got to stop saying oh well we're doing just as good as we did last time. We're doing just a little bit, but no, we need to reinvent the DNC completely. We need to reinvent the Democratic Party so that we can easily win these elections. There should be no situation where we're fucking losing to somebody like Trump after January 6th. That's ridiculous. I just don't even understand that.
I don't disagree with you, but that has to do with the media environment. It has nothing to do with the RNC or the DNC.
Which again, we do have more control over we actually put some infrastructure into it.
The infrastructure is on a map.
Why do you want to just bend down? You seem to just want to bend down to anything.
The focus needs to be on social media. The focus needs to be on, unfortunately, your big Democratic fucking talking heads who are all pussies who are too scared to fucking put their neck out for literally fucking anything. And then the few that are brave enough to put their head out for fucking anything, like Brian Tyler Cohen, immediately get it fucking chopped off by these fucking far left lunatics because Chorus got by 72 different tanky dicks, all right? And then all of your other weak Dems like fucking John.
And what does that say? What does that say? What does that say? Well, it says that we're fucking losing in messaging. But the tankies who are fucking 2%
Taylor Lorenz didn't need a DNC chair to tell her to decapitate Chorus. There was no DNC chair that could have saved Chorus from those hit pieces. There was no DNC chair that could have outperformed the hit piece interview that they got on Pod Save America. That's why you can't give an example of one. It would never have happened. It's not possible.
Bro, I've got 30K followers on Twitter. I that bitch on every single. I fucking ratioed her on every single tweet.
Who?
Can't? Taylor Lorenz. Why can't we just fucking control the narrative? We're always playing defense. Play offense.
You can't play offense when no one else is on your team. The best quarterback.
Why are they not on your team?
Back if he doesn't have anybody in front of him.
Do you think that the majority are tankies or moderates?
It doesn't matter. The media.
No, it does matter.
Oh, okay.
It does matter.
When Taylor Lorenz writes an article attacking Chorus, there are 52 far left people who are ready to stand up and echo that message, and they all
know
without an RNC or without a DNC telling them what to do. Somehow they figured that out.
Why haven't the moderates figured it out?
Because our media doesn't work that way. We have to figure out how to make the media work that way. It's not going to come from the DNC.
Then who is it going to come from?
Probably some rich prick who just wants to.
We need
destroy.
Who is leading the tanky efforts? Who is leading the tanky efforts?
Well,
Taylor Lorenz.
I bet you
I would tell you, but I probably can't pronounce their last names, okay? Because they're either in fucking Qatar or fucking China.
Yeah,
so I don't know what the fuck
say.
is happening with that, but like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wait, hold on. You acknowledge that the far left have that media apparatus without needing any kind of RNC or DNC coordination, right?
Yeah, but there's not enough. It's not like they're. What you think that they're stronger than the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapirs? No,
not even they have this. They don't have it at scale yet, but they have the infrastructure. They can
started.
No, they have it. It's done. They can put out a story. They can put out a fucking lie, like that Al Sayed is a real fucking doctor, or that Hassan didn't shock his fucking dog's nuts when he was trying to keep her on a thing or whatever. Okay, or that Bernie Sanders was cheated out of the election. Right? These are all the talking points. They can put it out.
Those all the same category.
They're all in the exact same category. They can put all these talking points out. They can get them to bounce around on all their fucking figures. They can totally insulate themselves from any outside critique, and then they can funnel that down into the people online that carry that message forward. That is exactly what MAGA does. It's exactly what the techies do.
And we're the losers.
We can't do it, yes. But it doesn't.
And we're the fucking losers.
Yeah,
like, why is it that the tankies are able to do that and we can't as the moderates? Why?
Because they figured out that that's how the media environment works. And it didn't. It's not the RNC.
So we can figure it out too.
I think we can. I do think we can. But it's not going to be with the DNC.
Gavin Newsom's doing it.
Barely, kind of. I mean,
he is. He's ratioing all of these Republicans. Like, people are talking about his tweets. They like his strategy.
Like, Gavin, it shouldn't be Gavin Newsom. It should be the liberals. Gavin Newsom's getting fucked
I agree.
That's fine, but Gavin Newsom's getting fucked by parts of the liberal establishment every step of the way. The tankies don't get fucked by their own. MAGA doesn't get fucked by their own. Gavin Newsom has hit pieces put out on by fucking the New York Times over and over and over again.
That's because we don't have the infrastructure that we need to build. This is what I'm arguing.
And you think that there's a world where Ken Martin can go to the New York Times and tell them not to publish negative articles on Gavin Newsom?
No, because he doesn't have that leverage yet.
You think there's a world where they have that leverage?
I think that if we built it over 30 years, maybe, sure.
Okay, I agree with you. Ken Martin.
Yeah,
hasn't
that's
had
and that's
he
the
hasn't
thing
had
is
30
that we have
months.
to start somewhere. We're not even starting. We're not.
We are.
We're just like
He's
we're
putting the
just
money into every state. He's having an all-state strategy. He's starting. He's begun the process of doing it, but it's going to take a while.
It's, again, what the all-state strategy is not going to solve the media infrastructure problem anyway, and he
Nothing is
doesn't
gonna
have enough
solve-
money to do a 50-state strategy anyway.
Well, I guess we will see what happens. If an alternative to Ken, if Wickler steps up or somebody else steps up that wants to take his place, I think they can do a better job, and they got like a concrete course of action. I don't know. I'd be interested in hearing it, but
I want to be on the offense. I'm tired of us always fucking playing defense. It is embarrassing that the tankies are able to do this and we can't do it.
You keep saying that, but you're playing defense right now by talking about ousting the DNC chair. That's defense. You're attacking.
Well, yeah, I wish that we were playing defense now, but fuck, we have to now. We should have played offense in the beginning.
I would not be surprised if there's right-wing money that is fueling some of those tanky crowds too, in addition to what Destiny said with foreign money. So that's because those guys cause division, and who does that benefit? Our adversaries and the right. They love it. They eat this stuff up. So
yeah, but the thing is, we allow the thing is like we don't like. I just don't understand like why we can't like build an apparatus against that. Like we have more people on our side than they have.
Well, we
both
have
like with average American voters, people online, and also like in terms of media figures, we have more.
We can. If I was in a court case right now, this is what I would do to start it. Okay, you would grab 8 large media figures, maybe alternative media figures, and you would have all 8 of these people in a fucking Discord room, and you would say, this is the person that we are going to target for this week.
Yes.
And then what you would do is you would say, we're going to make fun of Joe Rogan for being an anti-vaxxer. And all of these people would do one long form video, and they would generate a ton of clip content because Joe Rogan is going to see it, and all of Joe Rogan's fans are going to see it. And if you could get Joe Rogan to have to respond to that, then you would prove the concept at least of your ability to drive media that way. And then you would take that same idea and then you would scale it out to more media people, and then you would try to find more important electoral talking points. You could localize some of them to different states, to different state elections, and then this is the thing that you would try to repeat at scale. That would be the most important thing that I would think should happen on the media side of things. If you can get people
cost very much.
Sure. Well, it does. You have to get liberal media figures with a fucking backbone who aren't going to run away in fear every single fucking time they see a fucking scandal or whatever the fuck, or somebody says a bad fucking word.
Doesn't it help though when you have the backing of the party?
You don't need the backing of the party. The tankies back Plattner with the Nazi tattoo for 16 fucking years without a second thought. They're backing Tom Steyer, the billionaire that they've spent the last 20 years saying you need to cannibalize. They have no problem. You don't need a DNC or RC to do this. They're doing it on their own right now.
Dude,
you can do it.
We're not. Okay, then if you could do it on your own, then why aren't you doing it?
I can't because I'm a progressive and all of them hate and I'm in a court case right now, so I can't do it. But go get Adam Muckler, somebody who won't pussy out to Hassan in the last half of the conversation. I'm sorry, I know it's mean. Or go find John Favreau, somebody who's going to dick suck Hassan the entire time because he gets stand up to the far left. You have to find Democratic media figures. Brian Tyler Cohen kind of did it, and when Brian Tyler Cohen got eaten alive by Taylor Lorenz, every fucking left-leaning person shut the fuck up and watched him die on it. That was crazy to me. That basically nobody had anything to say about the core shit. So I mean, like, if you don't have any fucking media figures on the lib left that are willing to stand up for each other, then yeah, this shark attack will happen over and over and over and over and over again. But no amount of Ken Martins or DNC chairs or anything is going to fucking do anything about that.
The RNC makes sure that doesn't happen.
The RNC has not. You think the RNC controls Trump's talking points? You think the RNC?
No, I think that now Trump controls the RNC's talking points, but the RNC is the great connector of the media infrastructure. They are the people. We
can agree to disagree on that. I think that people like Elon Musk. I think that people like fucking Peter Thiel. I think that people like Steve Bannon. I think that people like Donald Trump. I think people like Roger Stone. I think these are far more influential people than whatever the fuck is happening daily at the RNC, which at this point, after the FCC, it could be fucking child sacrifices for all I fucking know.
Just saying that it definitely helps when you have the backing of the party and you have a better infrastructure to back you up. It makes you feel, I mean, like somebody like me and you, we obviously don't give a fuck. We're willing to like battle on our own, but a lot of people are not willing to do that.
Sure.
So you got to give them the backing and the support, right?
My question.
Yeah, but I don't know what leverage it. Or go ahead. Sorry.
Zee, what are you gonna do if Ken Martin isn't pushed out? You said it's 100%. What if it's not? What are you gonna do?
I mean, try to get him to return my fucking phone call would be a good first step, because he can send me a fucking snark message when I make a video about him that's 14K views, but he can't return my call when I call him out on CNN a year and a half ago to call me back. To try to force that more, I guess. I don't know.
There's no way this is all over him just not getting back to you.
you. That would be good. No, it's not just about me. It's about the fact that he can't return a phone call to anybody, not just me.
Well,
if he was so bad, then where are all of the delegates that are willing to oust him? Why has he not been ousted yet? Why is he winning these internal fights?
Well,
with
I mean,
Hogg, with
the
the other
autopsy
person?
report only came out like a week
You think
ago?
the autopsy report is going to be what sinks him? You think that's what the Democratic constituents and the DNC people, do you think they care about? That's the autopsy? That's what they care about?
I think that they care about being publicly embarrassed by the autopsy, yeah. I think
Publicly
it's fucking
embarrassed by
publicly
who?
embarrassing.
By
By
tankies.
the general public who are fucking embarrassed by it.
The general public doesn't know or give a fuck about any of this.
I mean, people that are following politics absolutely know about the autopsy report, for sure.
Yeah, because the far left amplified it so much, and then everybody else played into it.
Again,
The other far
my
left people, far
point.
left sympathetic people. What?
You're proving my point because you're allowing the tankies to take over. Like, I just don't understand like why we have to just like allow this to happen.
I don't think we should. And you know what?
We shouldn't. We shouldn't
That's why
allow it to
all of
happen.
us need to come together and support Donald Trump in subpoenaing Hassan Piker and getting him out of here, okay? One tanky at a time.
Crazy.
One
Come
tanky
after
at a
you
time.
next.
And you know what? I'll even offer myself up as a sacrifice. If I have to sit in a jail
You're
cell
you're
next
going
to
to.
these people, then you know
You're
what?
going
I
to.
offer myself up as a sacrifice. Fuck it, okay? We can be
Doesn't
jail
matter.
cell
Even if
buddies
Hassan
together.
is not here, it's not like the infrastructure of the tankies is just going to die anyway.
True. Because it is
Right?
kept up in a decentralized manner where they all know the mission and they all know the job and they don't need a single chair or head of anything to tell them what to do.
Well, unfortunately, we need more structure than that, in my opinion. The RNC, the way that these group chats are, they're so like hyper structured. I mean, do you talk to people on the right that are in the media space? Because I do. I have friends that are in the media space on the right that I talk to. They're not fucking crazy like Trumpers, but like I talk to like Republicans that are in these group chats.
I'm
and they know
literally
what's
the
going on.
Nazi affair guy. Yes, I am pretty deep inside some of these fucking Republican spaces.
So
I saw
you
the
know,
whole,
so you know
I saw
then
the whole
how structured
35-page document of which only like 2 pages ever got released. Of the Elijah Shaver hit piece that somebody, Riley Yiannopoulos maybe, and other people put out to like sink that whole fucking guy's career. I'm very much aware of how connected these spaces are. I never see any of it run through the RNC first, but maybe that's just happening in the background and I'm not seeing it.
It's
I don't
happening.
know.
It is happening. That's how they're able to get this young talent to like come up through the pipelines. They have pipelines. You think that this just like spawns out of nowhere? No, they have pipelines.
Okay. Me and IRI are both committing to supporting a viable alternative to Ken Martin if he pops up. But until then,
win.
I'm ride or die with Ken Martin. Until then, it is, what was the movie with Tom Hardy, in the desert?
Okay, I'm on your side too.
You guys, what? None of you guys, what am I thinking of?
Don't know.
Mad Max. You've never seen Mad Max?
I don't.
Oh,
I
Mad Max
associate
in the
Mel
desert
Gibson with it.
No. Oh
But you
my God.
also have to commit. You also have to commit to not thinking that people like me or that there are no people on the inside that don't want Ken Martin out and that we're all tankies. Because it's just not true. Like I'm so far away from a tanky. It's fucking ridiculous. I wrote a whole back on this.
I do not think you're a tanky. I don't think
you're tanky.
Yeah, I believe you that you are hearing some grumblings from inside, but I'm just saying the people that are speaking publicly heavily side towards Ken Martin staying. It's everybody from Nancy Pelosi to Ro Khanna to Ilhan Omar to Senator Van Hollen. These are rock stars in the Democratic Party. Huh?
So they don't get to choose ultimately like what's going to happen.
But they're not going to
like
they're not going to embarrass themselves by saying he shouldn't go and then he resigns in a week and they're like, "Oh, my bad."
They did it with Biden.
No, most people were Biden's got to go. It was AOC and Bernie were like leading the charge. That's about it.
Oh my.
I don't know about that, but I mean, listen, we know that there are obviously problems in the Democratic Party. We obviously know that. Otherwise, we would have brilliant messaging. Otherwise, we would have won the last election.
I just disagree, Z. Like, we've already covered this, but like, I think both parties have problems. I think the two parties have problems for reasons outside of themselves. But the Democrats are doing great right now, and the energy's on our side. There's polling out there that does show that Democrats are favored on things like the economy for the first time since 2010, according, I think, to a Fox News poll. So,
well, that's because gas is fucking $6.
Okay, well, still,
of course.
But people would say the Democrats would suck just as bad if that was the case, and they didn't think more highly of the Democrats, but they favor the Democrats. And that's how American people work. So
Thing is, we have to get our messaging in line. I'm telling you right now, we are not going
I'm
to an election
I'm
unless we get our message in a
I
better
am with you
place.
100% on the new media being neglected. I think that we are 10 years behind on that. I think I support all your ideas 100%. I just think that it's not going to happen by throwing Ken Martin out of there. That's all I'm saying. All you're going to do is open the door for Hassan and his tanky crew to take over the DNC based on what you've described. And I don't want that.
No, I think it's actually the opposite. I think that if Ken Martin stays, it's more likely that they're going to grow that coalition to be able to get him out, and then we're going to have a tanky in. I think that if we make an offensive move and we start looking at, and we're like, listen, this fucked up.
But no way.
We're sorry.
No.
And we start looking for somebody that's better, we're going to have a better chance.
When the midterms finish and you agree they're going to go well for the Democrats, there's not going to be anybody saying the DNC is screwing up. Nobody's going to give a shit. They're going to be so happy to see the Democrats in charge of the House or the Senate and Trump getting a gut punch. Nobody's going to have any complaints at all.
But what about 2028?
Nobody's going to think about that until something bad happens. If it does,
our job as operatives to be thinking about that. That's our job.
Yeah, but people are like having a birthday party here, and you're like, oh my god, a fire could start at any moment. It's like, dude, we're just.
Yeah, that's my job as an operative. My job is to go in and win fucking elections. Like, to be thinking 10 steps ahead so that we can win elections.
All signs point to winning right now.
For the midterms, yes. But the midterm, again, it doesn't, whether Ken Martin whatever happens, the midterm, there's nothing we can build up for the midterms. The midterms, it's over. Like, we don't have enough time. We're already in June. The midterms are going to be in November.
Okay, so I say keep your powder dry until after the midterms and then see if you can move the boat in that direction. You know what I mean? Like,
we got to move the boat for 20. I'm telling you right now, we have to. If we don't, we're just going to keep fucking ourselves. And I'm telling you that the tankies are going to be the next step because they're going to blame the centrists on everything. They're going to be like, well, you guys, you took the fucking reins and you fucked up. It's Palestine, Israel. We always told you guys it was Palestine, Israel. We know what we're talking about. That's what it's going to be.
I think we need more cheerleaders on our side, hyping up our based moderates like Ken Martin and Van Hollen and boosting these guys. That's what we're lacking, in my opinion. And that's why I think we need that new media empire to act as cheerleaders for our guys, because they do cool stuff and they are pushing good messaging, but we do not have the media presence to push that messaging and support them. We have a bunch of haters who cry about Hakeem Jeffries' weird hand movements and Chuck Schumer's glasses, you know?
I'm just saying that we, if our communication should be that we are delivering for Democrats are delivering, right? Like that's what we should be focusing on. We're doing X, Y, and Z. These are the bills that we're passing. These are what you're elected to feel. We need to show people what we're doing. We're not doing that right now through the DNC. You know who is doing that? Fucking Mockler's team. That's who's doing it. They run a page called Dems Deliver and then like the GOPLs. Why the fuck are like these guys like taking on like the work of the DNC? Like, I love that they're doing that, but the emphasis should be inside the party.
How do you know Adam's not working with the DNC?
He's not working, as far as I know. He's there. I mean, I just had dinner with his team. I mean, I know his team pretty well. I've never heard that they have a contract with the DNC.
Well, I would be surprised if there's been no outreach between Mockler and the DNC. The guy's on CNN every night.
At all.
What?
Yeah, well, I mean, what CNN's not connected necessarily to the DNC.
Well, I'm just saying he's one of the most vocal, advocates for the Democratic Party out there. So
well, all of us are. I mean, we're all advocates for but that doesn't mean we're working.
We're nothing. I don't know. Compared to Adam Mockler, I mean, he's on. He's huge.
I mean, Adam, shout out if you're fucking like, I don't, as far as I know, Adam Mockler's not working directly with the DNC. But they're running. But what I'm saying is that they're developing messaging that we should be having internally at the party, right? Like that's a great idea. Like having a page like Dems Deliver is fucking brilliant. Like that's what we should be doing. Like we should be showing what the fuck we're doing. Like we should be more aggressive. Like right now we're not doing that. Like we're still not doing that, even though the writing's on the wall and it's very fucking clear that makes us more popular. People don't want to have like polished politicians. They want to have people that are talking like Gavin Newsom.
Well, again, I see some positive signs out there. I'm not gonna keep beating this horse to death though, but I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to cover here? This has been a long conversation. It's been fun.
This has been good.
Yeah,
It's been fun.
It's all with love and positive, in my opinion.
I think, you know, if you want to make the party better, I think you got to have these conversations. I think it's important to have these. Well, why do you laugh at that? I mean, I think, listen, I could just be fucking making money, but I don't want to do that.
Left to say because nobody else does it, but it's just a funny meme.
Listen, I think it's very important. I think it's very fucking important that and I think that we'll look back on this conversation potentially in a year, and you know, some of these things will come, some of them won't, but a lot of these things may come true. And then again, we just have to be prepared for what could potentially happen. That's what we got to be. I mean, listen, the Democratic Party is already showing signs of supporting Hassan Piker. He's on the campaign trail with candidates right now. That's all I'm saying.
Well, is what it is. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here soon. So is there any final thoughts or anything?
No, my stream ends in 5 minutes, so. You have any final parting words?
Nope, just let's fucking hope that Ben Wickler runs.
Wow. All right, well, we'll find out soon what happens, but I appreciate your concern, Z, even if I disagree with a bunch of this stuff. I do appreciate your concern. I think these conversations are important to talk about, hey, man, let's make sure we're discussing everything. So
I think so too, and I appreciate you guys, and yeah, let's reconvene when Ken Martin's no longer chair.
Okay. All right.
In 3 years? 2 years?
Oh.
Okay.
All right, guys. It was fun.
Yep.
Talk to y'all soon.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.